And welcome back, everybody, to another exciting installment of the Terrorisk podcast. I'm with, I'm Chris, and I'm with Chris. We're both Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Yeah. So lately I've had a request, I guess before we start these things, like to kind of give a rundown on who the guest is, kind of like an intro, I guess. And I guess for all the listeners, as far as you're concerned, I would say Chris is like one of my oldest friends from when I was like 14 or some shit. 14 years old, tender young age, lots of good times.
Very tender.
Yep. And Chris's job on the podcast, he's basically the certified theologian. Is that the word for it?
Yeah, I guess. I'm not a certified theologian.
He's a certified theologian. He's got a PhD. He graduated Yale.
I didn't do any of those things.
Top of his class.
Never.
Alma mater or whatever they call it. I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, Chris is. Nah, I'm just kidding. He just went to like fucking Catholic school for a few years.
Yeah, a few years.
Yeah. He wore the uniform and everything.
Like a cult.
Yo,
everyone wears the same thing.
Cults. All right. So let's talk about cults. Now, here's the thing. Honestly, nationalism is culty. All right. Cultures are culty. Towns are culty. Families are culty. Martial arts schools are culty. Companies are culty. All right. Like anyone who's not involved in some kind of cult in some form is lonely and living on the fringe.
Well, yeah, you're not part of a group.
Yeah.
That's how you want to be part of something. You got to join a cult.
Yeah.
That's what I tell people all the time.
Precisely. So you can't. Everything's a cult. You can't say you're not a part of a cult. Chances are you're part of some kind of cult-like structure.
The cult of America.
Yeah, sure. Cult of America. Why not? It's not the worst cult. There could be worse cults. Some cults are more cult than other cults.
Yeah, some are more culty.
For sure. And so how's your health been?
It's good.
You've been hitting the gym?
A little bit.
Yeah, you told me over the phone.
Eating better.
Eating better. Like what kind of dietary changes have you been making? I'll talk about this with you.
For breakfast, I've just been having like an egg and rice.
Like Asian style.
Yeah,
okay.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Then just chicken or fish and salad. And
How's your snacking?
I don't snack much. I have like
we all used to snack when we were younger, working in like offices all the time.
Oh yeah, but I don't snack that much. Like the only snacks I really have is like pistachios and peanuts.
Yeah. I just don't eat.
Popcorn.
I just really don't eat carbs. Like I really don't eat rice. I don't even eat bread. I don't really eat cereal. The closest.
I don't eat cereal. Cereal's not food. I don't know who thought cereal should be.
or like pizza
as a meal.
I just skip the bread. Like even when I used to make burritos. Now I just like straight up make a bowl of ground beef and just eat that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just mostly cut out like carbs, virtually all of them. Now, so basically I'm on keto, more or less. I also cut out like sugar. And the only thing I guess I really cheat on is alcohol.
Yeah, but on keto you can get away with some alcohol every now and then.
Some of it. But so on Saturday, like I went to a birthday party. I ended up like eating a bunch of birthday cake. And I think the day before that I tried that Chinese Cantonese roast spot on Highland.
Oh, I think I've seen that.
Yeah, Yaya roasted.
Yeah.
It's pretty good actually. But so I had some dumplings and shit and some rice noodles. And the very next night I had a birthday cake. Then for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, I didn't know what this was, but as it was happening to me for the first time, I was like, I'm pretty sure this is related to the dietary thing. Like I started getting like cold ass sweats. I just could not sleep. I felt like I was on the verge of like I didn't know if I was like throwing up or if I had diarrhea, but my stomach was like completely empty.
Mm-hmm.
And like I thought I was like, it almost felt like starvation and dehydration mixed together.
Mm-hmm.
But I know I wasn't starving because like I didn't even have an appetite. And I looked up the symptoms and apparently it's this thing called like keto flu. It's like when your body like fully transitions from like.
Yeah, you're not going to feel great for the first couple of days because your body's picking a new energy source.
Yeah.
You basically starved it of of its original one.
Well, I mean, I've been on like keto basically before the party. It's just I went to the party. It basically broke it, right?
Yeah.
But then right after the party, like I was recovering, like hungover, like so I wasn't like I don't do what I usually do. I like what I usually used to usually do for hangovers, which is like get pizza or get snacks or a bunch of bullshit. I just ate a regular meal, worked out, but then like then the ketosis came back like really really hard. It was just really grueling,
Mm-hmm.
and it's almost like my body got invited to a party, and by the time it got there, like there was like all of its favorite food was gone, and it was just pissed off. Like it was crazy. So yeah, the keto flu definitely a real thing, and like I know the tricks. Like you could drink like a cup of bone broth or whatever, and yeah.
Well,
So
you also have to replace the carbs with fat.
well, that's like easy. That I could just have like a protein shake, or I could drink a cup of milk, or I could fucking eat cheese, or I could like eat meat,
Yeah.
like whatever. It's just when you don't have an appetite because when your body is going through that transition, it's like you do not fucking feel like eating anything.
Yeah. No, I've been on keto.
Yeah.
I've gone through it.
Yeah, the keto flu. Shit sucked. And I guess it's not like going into keto. I went through that. It was just breaking it and then going back into it.
Yeah.
Just thinking, yeah, I could just go back into it.
That's why like I didn't really do cheat days because like I don't want to break ketosis and do it all over again.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, definitely not.
holy shit. But aside from ketosis, like I mean, I think it's not just about the diet for me. It's also like the physical activity I do. Like I work out like 6 days a week. I also do on top of that like 3 days of sword training on average, like a week. So it's like I don't know. I mean, the whole reason why I'm sticking to the diet that I'm on now is because I have more energy now than when I did back when I first started training. So clearly I'm doing something like that's more. It helps me sustain like I guess like training and shit. So
Okay.
I kind of want to stick to that. I mean, fucking yeah, carbs, man. Yeast is the beast.
Bad man.
Yeah, they used to use it as a weapon. You put that in like enemy soldiers' guts. They drink water, it expands, they become sluggish, easier to kill. Yeah. So yeah, we got our
Everyone knows yeast factories are death traps.
yeah. So aside, now that we got our physical health out of the way, how's your mental state been? Like what thoughts are occupying your mind lately? What are your concerns? What are some questions you'd like answered?
I don't really have anything.
Let's see. What's taking up my mind right now? What am I sensing for the collective consciousness? I sense that a lot of people are very concentrated on gender. I mean, it's not like in the same way that we were from like 2012 or like the past 10 years. Now it feels like things are really coming to a head now because I mean, I don't want to say it's like, oh, people are no longer getting punished for being transphobic, but you're definitely seeing like this growing sentiment of women, especially nowadays. Like, honestly, I don't want to humor this anymore. Like, I want to kind of reel back all this inclusivity shit, because they're like not feeling it that much. And it's like,
It's too much.
I mean, on one hand, I'm like, you ladies are kind of partially responsible for all this shit, like with your intersectional feminism. I mean, what the fuck did you think was going to happen? We tried to warn you. Like, the rest of us tried to warn you. But I guess, tried to risk it for the biscuit, tried to have your cake and eat it too. And now you got like weird people in your bathrooms, as you like to complain about.
Well, this is what happens when people stop listening to white men. The world falls apart.
In a certain sense, yeah.
The patriarchy really held things together, man.
Well, I mean, that's the irony that people don't really appreciate is if you're going to create a new world, you kind of have to destroy something, and a lot of people are going to get hurt in that process. Is it worth it? I don't know. Not up to me to decide, really. I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. Yeah. Also, another thing that people are starting to like really, I think about either because they were forced to or they just came across it. Is I feel like people have been thinking about a lot about God and like their metaphysical reality and not just their material reality. Trying to find meaning in their existence.
And lately, and aren't people always doing that?
That's a good point, but I think it's like it's a lot more focused, like all the emotional energy, when you have internet posts and stuff to like channel all that shit through as a medium, like, And because that shit very potently affects everyone else, because it's one thing if you just posted your thoughts on it on social media, but it's another thing when you post your thoughts on it, like about it on social media at a time when people are heavily addicted and focused on social media. So therefore, if you really, it's like the person who's taking up the most digital real estate in that sense has the most power psychically, in like humanity pretty much, or civilization or society.
Society, man.
Yeah, so I think people have been thinking a lot about God, but in a different lens. Not just in a sense of, is God real? I don't know. It's a good thing. It's fun to talk about, but I guess we'll never know. It's not like it really affects me. But now, like, humanity's reached this point where it's like, wait a minute, this shit really does affect me. Because after all said and done, suppose I did get married, suppose I did have kids, suppose I did get the stable career, suppose I, God bless you, suppose I did get,
Put the God in there.
suppose I did get this and that. What's my life going to mean after that? Then what? Or it's like, I look at my life now and is it really the life I want to live forever? Like, just, like, I'm in my 30s, just fucking random bartenders and going to like shallow social gatherings where people read their shitty poetry and personal essays. Like, is this really going to be the rest of my life? And people start thinking that way.
Well, that
and
sounds awful.
Obviously. Or it's like, or working like a fucking shitty wage slave job for a boss that really doesn't give a fuck about any of. I mean, a lot of people could relate to that too, I'm sure. But now it's gotten to a point where, I mean, it's a slippery slope, right? It's like once you start with that, then it really becomes an existential question for yourself. And when it comes to existential questions, once you start asking them, you end up going into a really dark place very fast. Why? It's because, like, first you contend with the fact that, oh, yeah, it's just me, whatever, but I'm going to die one day. And then you're like, fuck, my life is finite. Fuck, what have I been doing with my life like up till now? And you start comparing yourself to others. That makes you feel like even more shit. And eventually it gets to a point where it's like, okay, so everything is meaningless, because, like, once you try, this is basically takes time. You like process things, like you start asking these questions, and it's not like you could ask like other people these questions. These are kind of questions you have to like ask yourself. Like, what do I give a shit about? What do I want my life to be about? How much of my time have I been fucking wasting? How much of my energy do I waste on people that aren't really that great for me, honestly? Like, they don't really help me in anything. Like, so it's like, it's a dark process, because you become hyper conscious of all the fucking time you wasted, of all the shitty people that you entertained and all that shit. And yeah, but once you go through that, out the other side, that's when you're supposed to see the light and all that shit, and that's when you find God or a higher power or your higher self or some shit. What's funny? I was just joking about how, like, it's crazy how, like, as an atheist, how fast you can become like a fucked up addict just to go to rehab and for them to tell you, sorry, the only way out is through God.
I think they make you convert, but like I know like AA programs are like tied with Christian organizations.
Well,
and they encourage you to give up to like a higher power.
You have to.
Yeah,
I think you have to.
But their higher power is God.
They say the way they put it the same way the Gnostics call it. It's like, it doesn't have to be God. It could be source. It could be the universe. It could be the entity, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But we all know we're talking about the same thing, that intangible thing. It's not a guy. It's that thing that's bigger than any guy, like. So that being said, yeah, it's funny how, like, and more often than not, I feel like you are more likely to be an addict when you're an atheist, compared to, like, even if you're forced into a religion, you're still less likely to like imbibe, because you've been steeped in all this, like, propaganda, like conditioning.
You would tend to know people that are part of your hive mind thinking, like
cultural framework. Yeah. So yeah,
if you were Mormon, you wouldn't drink soda. I don't think they drink soda.
Soda's disgusting. But anyway, Brendan recently just got out of recently is kind of in the process of recovery. He's in the 12 steps. And he was telling me how, like, they have separate, like, 3 different phases for addiction. There's the mental addiction, then there's the physical addiction, and then there's like the spiritual malady. So it's like, you could be like, for example, you could have a person who's like, I don't know, like, not mentally addicted, but they're physically addicted. So they may not be thinking about alcohol, but they get like physical cravings.
Yeah.
You know, then there's people who aren't physically addicted, but they're mentally addicted, meaning they may not get like shakes, but they're gonna reach for drinks, you know, for like every shitty occasion in their life or whatever.
Yeah.
But then there's the third one, which is the spiritual malady. That's the more serious one that doctors will never be able to tell you how to fix, because that's not their job. That's not their field. That's not their
Well, it
area.
doesn't sound like science.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's really interesting, actually, you know, because like addiction's such a big part, and it's like, and I think one of the reasons why it's often like not a taboo subject, but it's like it's under the purview of our like it's surface level consciousness, because it's a deep issue, and deep issues take deep solutions, like finding God. It's true.
Mm.
I mean, like let's say our society was more lenient towards murderers, and was more inclined to believe murderers can be rehabilitated. How would they do
Well,
that? They would probably do it through God.
I don't think they would do that anymore.
Yeah, and look where we're at now. Like,
So that's what you're saying. You're saying this is because there's less and less people follow God. This is why where we're
no,
at.
I think it's a more likely explanation, honestly, has less to do, is less concerning like the actual existence of God, or the actual like fidelity of the reality, like the real nature of God. I think it's more to do with something in our genetics, like in our DNA. Maybe we have some kind of God gene or worship gene, where we respond, like it's like we're programmed to, like if you take a person and isolate them from society and you introduce them to like natural phenomenon, for them to process it, they're going to automatically look towards like a higher power, you know?
Well, when you can't when you don't really understand something or can't explain it, there's things that happen you can't explain. People, that's how religion started. You people, like, it's natural for you to go like, well, what caused this? Let me think. Every time I do this, it rains on this day.
I
So
agree,
it
it's
must be
natural because it naturally manifested through us, but it's not the only way to deal with, like a species could just as easily decide, oh shit, I see something that I don't understand, I'm just going to self-destruct. We don't know, like there could be any number of ways species in this universes could genetically respond, like develop a response to like, you know, the unknown. The way that humans do it just happened to be this, like
well, yeah,
calling
your brain like tries to, when you see things or whatever, like your brain tries to explain it to you the best way it can, and that's when people see signs of like God and the supernatural.
Yeah. So it's, for me, it's like that doesn't necessarily mean at all God is real, but that doesn't necessarily mean God isn't real. To me, it's like a chicken or the egg question. You know,
Well, yeah, no one can definitively prove or say like he does or he doesn't.
I mean, they could have like their own
does,
person. They could have their own phenomenological experiences that could basically like it's when you lay witness to, I guess, quote unquote miracles, and miracles are can be widely subjective. You know, like one person's miracle could be another person's like reckoning, honestly. But if you experience miracles for yourself, I mean, here's the most significant thing about belief in God. Like, let's say you didn't believe in God, your life goes to shit. Your life gets so shitty, and everyone abandons you. You have no one else to turn to but God, and then you turn to God, and then suddenly everything gets better. I mean, if I were that person, would I really care at that point that much if God, whether God is real or not? No. But what I do know is that having faith in God fixed a lot of things that I didn't know were broken, you know, within me. And then,
Well, because you're part of it is accepting that there's something else in control.
yeah.
So that's also why people go for God.
Okay. So then, all right. So the need to control, this need to be in control, that's an ego thing, right? And it's not there for no reason. It's not evil. It's that impulse is there because it keeps us safe. Our ego is basically there to protect us. Our ego is like a overworked babysitter that doesn't know what the fuck it's doing. It's like a teenager trying to raise like a god, and that God is our true self within all of us, because we do have a higher self that transcends our ego. That's what allows us to do the right thing when we don't want to, you know, like when we have a chance to get away with doing something really shitty and profiting from it. What's that impulse in us that like says, nah, I'm not going to do that, you know? Some could say that's God working through you, you know? Whereas it's the ego, and it's not like for you to do the evil thing that benefits you. You're not doing that to be evil. You're doing that because you're scared. You're doing that because no matter how much you have, you're scared of not having enough. You're scared of dying, ultimately. You're scared of not having enough money. Why? Because you're scared of not having enough freedom. Why? Because you're scared of not being able to express yourself and live out your dreams in your life. Why?
Because there's no time.
Exactly. Because you're afraid of dying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's always at the end, at the root of it all your ego, all your shittiest impulses, like go down, like the root cause of all of it is ultimately at its core a fear of death. I mean, yes, there's many steps between that and your shitty actions potentially, but generally speaking, if you break it down all the way to the end, it's ego based, it's fear based, it's you're just afraid of dying, not having enough time, as you say. That's why we do the shitty things that we do. That's why we're willing to throw people under the bus just to live another day. That's why because we're thinking, you know what? Yeah, so what? I sacrificed thousands of people to live another day, but maybe the thing I do tomorrow will be worth those thousands of lives. Maybe I'll do something that's so good. You never know. You don't know, right?
That's true. So, so you could just go around being like a dick to people, being like, "Hey, man, like I had to do it. Something could happen tomorrow. It makes it all worth it."
Well, the idea is like, so it's a ratio of service to self versus service to others. Now you could have like 80% service to self and 20% service to others. You can't have 100% one or the other. It's impossible to live like that. You can, however, be more extreme on one end of the ratio than the other, which is probably not healthy either way. At the same time, it's probably impossible to strike a perfect balance for anyone, So that's the whole difficulty of being a good person, because it's not about good versus evil. It's really about service to others versus service to self. Because the more you apply energy to service to self, the less energy you'll have for service to others. It's like, sorry, mom, I can't pick you up from the hospital. I'm busy living my life. I mean.
All right, see, now that's. How do you get that project done in time? Skipped his. He never visited his mom in the hospital when she was sick once. He's here working.
That's how he's a winner.
That's why this guy's.
That's what makes
going straight to the top.
That's what makes him a Chad. Like,
this guy's a go-getter.
A real
he
one.
left his mother to die.
Everyone, y'all should be taking into notes.
I think it's best to just cut family out as soon as possible.
Hell yeah. So yeah,
because they'll be calling you for birthdays and stuff, and there's no time.
Okay, now this leads us to the next question. What's the right amount of what? Like, what's the right amount of service to others, and what's the right amount of service to self? Here, I can't tell you that. I can't give you the right ratio because I'm still working on it myself. However, where I'm at now, the numbers I'm working with now is 49% service to self and 51% service to others. At least that's the ratio I try to maintain. Is it perfect? Do I get it right every time? Hell fucking no. But I do think like I've been getting better results aiming for that as my ideal than just like anything else. So yeah, 51% service to self. I mean, service to others, 49% service to self. That's what I meant to say.
I think that's meaningful, a meaningful amount.
Yeah, right? I mean, that's
significant.
That's really all you need. And if everyone did that, that would fix the world.
Everyone just gave that bit more.
Yeah. So yeah, if you really want to make it in life, just fuck your family. Like, not literally. Just
no, not literally.
Just forget them.
Just don't see them when it's convenient for you.
And honestly, they'll forgive you for that. Like the
idiots.
The truth is, like, you could not see your family when they really need you, and only see them when it's convenient for you. And if anything, that'll make them appreciate you even more. They'll think about how, like, wow.
That's why they call it a support system. It's support for your shitty behavior.
They're probably thinking, wow, our relative is doing so much important stuff that
he's so busy.
Yeah.
Can't see his own grandmother. He's a real go-getter.
Yeah, he must be helping like so many people.
He must be curing cancer.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, the truth is that's not entirely true. I mean, your family can help you out a lot. Okay, so I just I came across this like really awesome video on YouTube. I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a troll, but it was a real video. And it was called, I wish I could pull it up. It was called like the secret to getting rich practiced by Jewish people. And it was posted by this channel called Investor Weekly.
Okay.
It's basically
sounds consistent. All right.
And
Straight from the source.
I looked at it. I saw the title of the video. I was like, "Get the fuck out of here!" So I clicked on it naturally, and
As you would.
it was actually like really good. So apparently, the Jews have this like timeless practice, this timeless tradition. This is what they teach all their kids regarding money, which is automatically like mind blowing to the rest of the world, because like most American parents don't teach their kids about money. They just expect school will teach you about money, and they really
Yes,
fucking
the school I give no money to will teach you everything you need to know.
right. Yeah. Okay. So this is what Jewish parents teach their kids, and they've been doing this for like this is the most impressive part is they've been teaching the same thing for like a millennia, and it's worked. So they say with every dollar you get, or let's say for example's sake, let's say for every $10 you get, you have 5 jars.
Mm-hmm.
In the first jar, you put in 10% to God, tithing.
Yeah.
Then the next jar, you give 10% to charity. So like if that's for giving, like your friends and your family, like gifts and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, you put 20% towards investing.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, you put another 10% for a rainy day. That's your savings. That's like if your car breaks down or if you get sick or whatever.
Yeah.
Then the last 50% is just for spending on yourself, whatever the fuck you want.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently, like, they've been teaching their kids this for like ever. And I was like looking at it, I was like, this is actually like really good.
That's pretty smart.
It's amazing. It's
yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
I was like, this is exactly what
if you stuck to that, yeah.
I mean, it still gives you plenty of leg room. It gives you plenty of ways to like. It's okay. So what this reminds us, the reason why I like this is because it reminds us that any system of distributing your revenue is basically just an abstraction of like circulating energy.
And think about how much more you have. You just cut out God and charity. It's an extra 20%.
You would think so, but you can't, because the 10% to charity actually does provide a social benefit. Because like that.
All right, charity like for friends, right?
Yeah,
right.
they don't mean no. They don't mean give it to like fucking
right,
no.
Right. For gifts
and
stuff.
Yeah, they mean like keep that money.
All right, so just God, cut the tithes.
You can, but I don't know. I don't know. First of all, you're right. Like I don't know where that money would go. Like I'm not a practicing devout religious person of any kind, so it's not like I could go to a church where I give 10% of my fucking checks to every week, or a synagogue.
So they charge you to go there almost in a way.
Yeah,
because you got to give, and if you don't give, well.
Then you're not.
They pass the bowl around. You'd be like, "Oh, I was here on Saturday. Like I was here yesterday."
It does help you. It gives you the spiritual positive feedback loop, right?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, though, if I were like to say that to any secular American, I would say use that 10% to God. Use it to pay off your fucking debt, because you can't serve God.
So it's still 10% to God.
Exactly, because you can't be a proper servant of God while you're in debt to some fucking credit company or a car or like. I don't know, your car loan, whoever gives you your car loan, like use 10% to pay off your fucking debt. You know, like, because that to me is basically giving it to God, isn't it?
Yeah. No, that debt is money. That's a God.
And once you do pay off all your debt, then you could worry about giving it to a fucking church or whatever, or then you could worry about fucking giving it to your synagogue or the homeless or some shit. I don't fucking know.
So yeah, unless God's asked you to go into deep credit card debt,
seriously, like
for him on his behalf.
Yeah, for if you're gonna follow this like 5-jar Jewish rule for money, give that and you're if you're not religious, chances are you're in debt. I don't know how I know this. This is what my intuition tells me. If you're not religious, if you're not Jewish especially, you're probably in debt. So that being said, give that 10% God money. Give it to whoever has you on their fucking balance book. Like
that is your God.
Yep, that is your God, pretty much.
Every time I lend any of my friends money, I think to myself, I am your God.
I own like the next 0.2% of your life, yo. Like seriously. Because like that's what money is. Money isn't just like pieces of paper. Money isn't just like representative bricks of gold. Money is
it's dead. It says it on it.
It's an abstraction of a store of energy. It's basically proof of work. It's supposed to be, which is why the U.S. dollar.
No, I'm not crazy. I have money.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, if nowadays it's like that what you just said, like that's like holds so little water now, because like everyone's like the jig is up on the US dollar on fiat money. Like we know it's like bullshit. And that's why like Bitcoin is making like such societal waves. I mean, it's kind of like rippling under the surface. Like you don't see like old ladies in the supermarket talking about Bitcoin, but we're getting there. We're getting there. You know, like it's gonna happen.
My aunt thought it was a physical coin. Well, my great aunt, she's like 90.
Yeah, these little mechanical coins.
Yes,
little computer
yeah,
chips.
she's like those big coins, right? I'm like, that's right, Aunt Mary. That's a Bitcoin. It's one of those big gold coins.
You know, it's a bit of gold turned into a coin. It's a Bitcoin.
I saw it on TV. Like, I'm sure you did.
Nah, I mean, Bitcoin's a big deal because conceptual. There's not. First of all, there hasn't been anything like it. It's the closest thing to perfect money that we have. We don't have anything like that could function as a perfect commodity, like the way it works. And yeah, I mean, it's funny because like the way it's set up, it's like it comes with all these principles. You know, it's like first of all, like there is no second best to Bitcoin. There's just Bitcoin because it's true. Like all these other coins were all like competitors, and they don't hold a candle to Bitcoin.
Oh, they're all inferior.
Bitcoin is the clear fucking winner in that regard. Second of all,
you need Bitcoin to buy these things.
Second, coins. It's like Bitcoin insight is restricted to those who have a need to know. You know, it's like if you don't know much about Bitcoin, chances are you probably don't need to know. You know, you probably don't have a need to, like, you're probably not in a position in life where it's like you're worried about like your family's assets or some shit. You're just, you know, like you're either you either have like mad real estate or you're too poor to even give a fuck about like saving, you know, like for the next paycheck or two, you know, like
yeah.
So
yeah, poor people are not putting 10% of their money aside to investing in Bitcoin
or God
or any of these other things.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so back to the 5-jar thing, that 20% that goes to investing, I would just dump that into Bitcoin. Like, fuck it. At this point, I mean, also like compared to every other like real like investment vehicle, what am I gonna
all investments are risks.
What am I gonna fucking buy a cars? Like that's junk. It's just rotting junk. What is it?
Yeah, because it depreciates in value 100% of the time.
What am I going to buy? Property? Get the fuck out of here. I mean, 99% of the time, it's not worth it unless you just enjoy fixing up houses and flipping them. Like that's your craft. Like you just doing that.
I buy property. I want an acre. I want 2 acres, 3 acres.
I mean, also it's like, I mean, there's the whole like eminent domain shit, right? Like what happens if like civil war breaks out where you own land? Then what? It's a liability at that point.
It's highly unlikely. So yeah. You're not worried about your land devaluing. You're worried about the government becoming destabilizing.
Yeah, exactly. So this is, and like what else is there? There's art. I mean, art. Art is basically controlled by the culture. It's actually really corrupt. It's one of the most corrupt quote unquote market. It's not even a market. It's just one big money laundering scheme for like really really rich people.
Yep.
Okay, so then where does that leave us? I mean, there's gold, but gold you have to store it. Otherwise, you're gonna pay fucking fees for someone else to store it for you in your name.
You're going to pay someone else to store your gold.
Exactly. Whereas if you look at Bitcoin, and as far as like, first of all, there's Bitcoin. There's what it is. There's the fact that you could have full custody over it. Its government's gonna have a very hard time taking that away from you.
And it's not tied to one market. It's international.
It's decentralized.
Yeah.
So there's that. On top of that, I mean, there's a whole bunch of arguments for it. So basically, it's like, also let's look at the performance of Bitcoin year over year since like the start of COVID. It's it's gone up like what 40% every year, pretty much, like year over year since then.
Yeah, it jumps and then it dips, but it never dips further below than where it started in 2020.
Yeah. But it keeps going up.
Yeah.
So here's what
it drops down, but it goes back up and it goes back up. So it's a further jump every time.
So here's the scary part to me. The scary part is when you have companies like corporations, like not like mega caps, but like fairly decent sized corporate companies, and they're failing. Like they're not turning a profit. However, the rest of the rest of the market doesn't know that they're failing. They know they're failing. They know that they're not actually generating a profit, but they are basically turning around money just enough to pay their employees. Zombie companies.
Yeah.
Right? So what happens when those companies realize like they could actually make a profit, save their companies, and actually make more money if they just dump all their company assets and convert it into Bitcoin? Like then what? What's going to happen after that? They're going to make their money. Bitcoin goes up. Other companies see this. They're going to be like, duh, why the fuck can't I just do that? Mm-hmm. Banks are already doing it. You know, like it's only a matter of time. I mean, there could be all these like people come up with all these arguments. That, oh, government will make their own stable coin, and that may be true, but I mean, what government? What, the U.S.? How is that going to supersede like Bitcoin?
Why would they? Yeah, why would it supersede Bitcoin? And I mean, like it's not like it would be added with the U.S. dollar.
No,
You'd have to dump the dollar and go all in on that.
and
So-
when the U.S. does finally, when the U.S. dollar does finally get to that like shit the bed point, that what do you think? Like
Bitcoin will be the currency that the world trades in.
Yep. 100%. I mean, that's the idea. And I can think of scenarios where that doesn't happen and Bitcoin just completely crashes and fails, but they're long shots at this point. You know, it's like it would have to be like what? Like World War like legit like World War 3 like nuclear fallout type shit, or every single computer gets knocked out in the world at once. I can't imagine that happening.
I don't see that happening.
Unless it was like such a big disaster where money is like the least of our worries at that point, you know? So yeah, I do back Bitcoin at this point. I mean, just logically speaking.
I think if the apocalypse happened, there'd still be like people at home going, "Oh, did you hear someone moved some Mexican into the Johnson house even after it was destroyed in the bombings."
You know what's funny? There was like 4 months back, I was doing a podcast episode with Carmen, and Carmen was like, yeah, you know, no one's really talking about the election this year. And I'm like, yeah, it's because, you know, no one gives a fuck. And he's like, honestly,
It's a slam dunk. That's why.
He's like, what I could see happening is like someone's going to probably try to assassinate Trump or try to shoot him. I'm like, you really think so? And he's like, yeah. And what I could see happening is that, you know, he survives it and he doesn't even get that injured. And what they're going to say, and he's going to be like bending over with his big fat man ass sticking out because he clumsily dropped something. And then like the shot misses him or whatever. And then the headlines will say, like on the newspaper, it'll say Trump barely saved by the grace of his goofy ass bend, you know, leaning. Whereas on the internet, it'll be like, oh, that Chad Trump used his military reflexes, his supreme emperor godlike reflexes to dodge the bullet. And like, and then when the assassination attempt happened, he was the first person I called, and I was like, yo, you predicted this. He was like, yeah, I remember. I was just thinking that. And like, I got to dig up that episode, but it was really uncanny. And I was like, shit. But we were both.
I'm sure the CIA wants to know, wants to take a look at that episode.
I mean, we both agree that would be like one of the only things that would reignite like some interest. Because
I thought I would like I never thought it was staged, but like he was already like I feel like he was already gonna win. Like he didn't need that extra, so he wouldn't fake it.
No, if anything, think about it.
Like
now.
he didn't need it because like I've said this before. Like the last 2 times he ran. I was like, if someone shot him and missed or like barely injured him, like that's it.
No,
he's a martyr. He wins.
I'm saying this attempt might have cost Trump the election. Listen,
I don't think so.
Right?
No.
So they attempt to
It
shoot
looks
him.
even better. You see those pictures?
Listen, they attempt to shoot him. Right? This puts him in a position where Biden has no shot. Biden was never this like if it wasn't for that assassination attempt, he would still be running against Biden. It would still be a sure win. But because of that assassination attempt, that put Trump in such a huge favor. Biden had no choice but to step down and said, there's no way, there's no shot. I'm not going to run again. Yeah. So Kamala took it. And now Donald Trump has to run against Kamala instead of Biden. I think Kamala is harder to run against for him than Biden.
So do
is.
I. Yeah. That's why I also just don't think it would be fake.
Yeah. So
because he didn't need to do it. And yeah, like you're saying, it's made things worse.
I mean, there's a lot of Trump supporters now that are actually worried that Kamala might take it.
It's much more likely than Joe Biden winning.
Yeah,
but probably not.
You don't think Kamala's gonna win?
I don't think so.
Holy shit!
I'm probably gonna vote for her, even though I don't really want to.
If Kamala does win, that would be an excuse for white American hicks to act violent and to get shot by cops. And I think that's probably like another like long-term goal.
They will lose their minds if they get a black woman.
No, I mean, it's not just that. It's like, dude, it's like you know, the assassin, it's like it would basically just cause like a failure cascade in their minds. You know, they'll be like, I can't, it just wouldn't compute. They'll be like, you're expecting us to accept that assassination attempt
Where
where
you guys didn't have anything to do with it.
and where Biden would have ran against if that never happened. And then you're telling me none of all this wasn't
Oh, that's a good conspiracy theory. You got
exactly,
going there.
exactly.
Oh,
Like
I see.
they're gonna lose their fucking minds over this shit.
Ah,
And they might actually, I don't know. You know what might have also caused the Civil War? If Trump actually did get shot. Like if he did get his
yeah, that'd be really if he was assassinated.
If he did get
that'd
his-
be really bad.
yeah, if he did
we'd
actually
be in a very bad place.
I would
right
shit
now.
myself. I
Yeah.
would be like,
oh no,
holy
no,
shit.
we'd be in a bad. Yeah,
I'd probably leave the city for the weekend. I'll go into the woods with a tent with my cat. I'd be like, I'm out. I'm not dealing with this shit. Would you want to stick around here?
No.
Fuck no.
I live on the South Shore of Staten Island. I absolutely do not want to stick around there,
Dude.
I'd get the hell out.
If Trump got fucking assassinated that day, man, that would be like that
That would have been bad.
That day
would have been bad.
That day made me decide I needed a go bag. You know, like a bag where I could, if I had to, I could just like, my shit's in there. I'm just gonna take this and leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like so crazy.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, everyone has to have a go bag. Even preppers have like their stupid fucking bunkers. I mean, libtards can have their go bags. They live in cities, and you know, you never know. Like, okay, so I got a good conspiracy theory for you.
Lay it on me.
You know, CRISPR's a thing, right?
Well, what?
CRISPR.
What do you mean? What's that? What's a CRISPR?
You know, the genetic altering your genes to edit out like certain traits and to bring in better ones and more desirable ones.
Okay.
Like you could control whether your kid has blonde hair or brown hair, or is 6'5" or 5'9".
Oh, like designer kids, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Intelligence, like 120 IQ minimum, shit like that.
Oh man, they banned that in Star Trek. I'm gonna have to go with Star Trek.
Okay, I'm just saying. Well, we know this technology exists,
Mhm.
and we know it's not a simple process, but we know it's possible to do it
Yeah.
to like an embryo. We know it's possible. So suppose like you're the government, or not just the government, like the public government, but like the deep state government, like the transcontinental evil cabal controlling the world government.
Right, right.
And you had the ability to create, theoretically, a generation. This is probably since back in like the 80s, like a generation of genetically modified super soldiers, right? Maybe you could do that for 2-3 generations, right? So by now we would be on our like third generation of CRISPR baby super soldiers. Do you believe that such a thing could exist?
Yeah, I think it could exist.
I think it could exist too. And you know, I think about what
not like in a super efficient form, like we were saying before. It's a slower process.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think they probably do exist, and
We just take the humanity away from children and just
yeah.
keep breeding them, right?
So, do you know about the Sean Ryan show?
No.
He's like a podcaster. He interviews a lot of like military dudes and all this shit. And one time he interviewed this Marine who claimed that he saw a mass abduction, like on one of his like deployments. He saw a mass like alien technology was involved, a black ops human trafficking abduction using like UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
So he was part of a Marine detachment that was responding to an earthquake in Indonesia. And him and his squad, right? They saw the disaster zones, fire, crumbled buildings, like all over the place. Everything was fucked up. People screaming, people injured, people dead everywhere. And then they saw like this weird horizon line, where like below that was like a weird platform that they never saw before, and they weren't briefed on. So they check it out, and eventually they get to this clearing where they see like a hovering UFO. I don't know if this is true, by the way, but like a hovering UFO that's not making any noise. And allegedly it's just there spinning in a clockwise or counterclockwise direction. And they're loading in like containers like that are actually like using some anti-gravity technology, just hovering up inside the thing. And once the Marines saw this, they were like, what the fuck? And before they knew it, they were surrounded by soldiers, other soldiers. These soldiers had no insignia. They were dressed in all black. They wore black caps, black bandanas. Their faces were covered. And they looked Western. Like they were like American looking dudes. They spoke in American dialects. And then he was talking about how the way they moved, the way they operated, it's not that they were inhuman, but they
moved unnaturally.
No, they moved naturally. They just moved as if like like, you know how like soldiers do rehearsals, like they'll have like a fake, like before operations they'll set up a fake obstacle course that mimics the environment, and then they'll do like breach enters and shit and like simulations. He described it, that's how they were moving, as if that's all they did every single fucking day. Like they were good, they were tight. Second is, this was back in like 2007 or 2006, but they were taking out like smartphone devices that was something out of like 2017 or 2021 or something. So he said that was weird. And another thing was, he noted the way they were speaking. He said they spoke in like the way we would talk. He was like, yo, let's fucking smoke him. Let's fucking drop him. Like, what the fuck are you doing here, boys? You're not supposed to fucking be here. Like, people disappear here all the time, yo. I'd say we take him a ride in the chopper and just throw him out. You know, he was saying that's the kind of shit they were saying. Like, they were trying to like really freak them out. So back to what we're saying about these CRISPR super soldiers, right? Anyway, the way the story ends is they got zip tied. Their weapons were unloaded in front of them. Their mags were put back in their pouches, but upside down. He was very detailed about the story, which is why it was kind of like almost believable to me, you know? So like he said that. And so basically the last thing they saw with the UFO is like, it was hard. At first it was like spinning in the sky. It didn't like seem to like it's not like it propelled like really fast. It's almost like,
yeah, like it didn't it didn't like
it just blipped out,
accelerated. Yeah, it just went.
It's almost like we can't see it with our eyes, but someone like bent space time, and that thing just went through that fold instead of like having to travel the distance around.
That's how you would travel through space.
Exactly. So that's how he described it. He was like, it was just that out, you know, kind of thing, no sound or anything. So there was
engaged
that.
thrusters.
Exactly. So there was that, and I think about these like genetically modified CRISPR super soldiers, and I'm like, I like. They're not. I don't think they act like these autistic freakazoid children. I think they're down. I think they're down with like memes. I think they know like cultural references. I think they know about Marvel movies. I think they know about like halal food. Like I think they're just regular people. They're just they happen to work for like them. You know, like
space agency,
the Galactic Cabal, the Federation. The same people that gave the Nazis UFOs, the same people that facilitated the trade of Nazi scientists into NASA as we know it. You think the Nazis disappeared? Hells no. Those Nazi scientists that developed their fucking super weapons, guess where they went?
Armenia.
Right into our fucking space.
Argentina. Space.
Yeah. Oh, that's why Armenian chicks are so fucking hot. It's because they got that. they got that Nazi blood.
That's right. They were that's the master race.
Oh my god, I saw this like really funny tweet of like this hot ass bitch. She posted a selfie. She's like, "I'm half German and half Argentinian." And she was,
of course,
beautiful.
you are.
And then like someone like retweeted. They were like, nobody asked her what her grandfather was doing in the 1950s.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I was like, oh god, she was so beautiful though. I was like, shit.
Why did they went to Argentina? That's the master race. German Argentinian.
Oh my god. But yeah, those I also made this post the other day. I was like, if you're rich, you should offer your enemies a job. Treat them fairly, you know? Be generous. If they mess up, fire them, but offer them severance pay, you know?
Plus your enemy would be really motivated to like be the best they could be.
I mean, someone said that. Well, so this girl chimes in. She goes, "Oh, but until they steal from you." I'm like, first of all,
your enemy wouldn't steal from you.
Second of all, I was like, your friends and family could steal from you too. Yeah. You think they're above that just because they work for you and they're your friend? No, like trust me, it happens.
Yeah,
all the fucking time. If anything, they know that you have to. You're more likely to forgive it.
Yeah,
you know,
and they know you're also not going to assume they're going to steal.
No one likes to believe it. Also, like when the further I spoke with her about it, she was like, I own a family business. I was like, no, I said if you're rich, not if you own like a family fruit or some shit or like or a you know whatever, but like or a boutique or something. No, I mean like if you're rich,
yeah, offer
your enemies jobs, treat them fairly, be generous, and if they mess up, fire them, but offer them severance pay.
Yeah.
I think that's like a good strategy.
I think it's very smart.
But then someone was like, oh, this bizarro nepotism is how we got NASA. And I was like, first of all, I would rather have a NASA than a failed company. NASA's still around, okay?
Yeah, that's true.
And then he was like, oh, but that's like saying like the post office is still around. And I'm like, yo, the post office too. And you know what? Let's also be real. The guys who invented both NASA and the post office are dead and their creations are still here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that should count for something. If anything, they should be faulted for creating something too powerful.
the mail is still more reliable than email. Not in the sense that it's harder to get an email. It's that people are more likely to ignore emails.
That's true, and also the post office is still like very liable. You know, they still take piss tests. They still have to like
It's well-oiled machine. Post office.
what?
Well-oiled machine.
Yeah. I mean, to an extent, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's the post office does the best job. The U.S. Post Office does the best job as far as people could do that job. Honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, then there's Amazon, but
I think we should go back to the Pony Express.
yo, you know what I was just thinking about? How like The Postman was a good movie, right?
What was that again?
Postman.
Yeah.
I think it was Kevin Costner.
Okay.
I don't think it was Kevin Costner.
I have no idea.
It was about a postman in the post-apocalypse.
Pretty cool. It's like Fallout.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when you're in New
holy
Vegas.
shit, yeah.
Yeah. You're a courier.
Maybe they did directly rip off of the Postman because the
Yeah, it
Postman
could
was a
be.
book. And I was just thinking about how the movie was great, but the book was apparently so much crazier.
Mm.
Like the book involved a supercomputer from like the times like pre-apocalypse and all that shit and pre-collapse. Apparently, like yeah, there was like a hype that the movie just admitted all of that. You know, like yeah, it was all that shit. The Postman. Yo, I'm not like I can't. It bothers me that you said that. It is like Fallout.
Yeah, it's like New Vegas.
Yeah,
You're the courier. Yeah. But that's also but that's also a Western thing, trope.
Did you like the Fallout show?
Yeah, it was really good. They did a good job of like living in that universe. Like it told its own story, which was good. Like instead of like trying to use characters that exist, they just lived. But so they just made up their own story, their own characters lived in that universe, and everything was they did it right. Like how the vault tech is really fucked up. Like they're the ultimate bad guy.
It was funny. I had this one friend who was like, I identify with the Brotherhood of Steel idiot because like that's basically what I just want a game. I just want to go and kill shit. I just
Yeah.
want to shoot shit. And they're like, no, I feel Lucy. You know, it's like you want to be the best version of yourself and you want to do the right thing, but then. I mean, sometimes the world isn't, you know, like, but you just gotta sometimes say okie dokie and just do your best.
Did a good job of showing each group, I thought. Because, yeah, people who live in vaults are fucking crazy. But Brotherhood of Steel is fucking crazy.
But then we all know the craziest people apparently were like the capitalists.
Yeah, like the NCR
Yeah.
or the crap. What's the government?
Robco.
Not Robco. Robco's like a just company like Vaultec.
Oh no, I'm not talking about the post fall factions. I'm talking about like the pre fall. You know, like all the companies, the corporations. Like
the core. Yeah.
that was the coolest scene of the show to me. Like when you got to see like the shadowy council of like the corporate overlords.
Yeah.
That was fucking awesome.
No, they did a really good job with that because that's what happened. If you like, because that
you
game's
read
so
the
good.
shit, yeah.
If you read the Turtles like I do,
Yeah.
because it's just good shit. Yeah, you see them talk about it.
Yeah, they
And,
give you
how they got corrupted and like what they were doing, like what they were trading with each other, and
yeah, that was my because you never got to see that stuff in the games.
no, and the game didn't play out for you in the games. It was just shit you could read because it was ancient history.
To me, that was the strongest points in the show.
Yeah.
The strongest points of the show was the corporate shenanigans that led up to like the whole infrastructure. But then what I didn't get is, are they implying that the corpos were also responsible for the first? No, they're saying they were responsible for the second Fallout. Because in the Fallout show, they were saying there were two Fallouts. It was the first major one that caused the end of the world.
Yeah.
But then like there was a second one after that. Like I think it was
Oh yeah, it was Vaultec because they emerged from the vaults and they tried to reshape society the way they planned on, and it didn't work, so they nuked it again
yeah.
and started over.
Yeah.
That's so that's what it was. Yeah, it's Vaultec, which is pretty fucking crazy. But I mean, Vaultec I think makes not Vaultec, but like Robco makes mini nukes, I think.
Yeah.
So like that's why they have access to it.
No, that was really cool. And people don't really think about that. Because most people, when they consider the Fallout series, they think of that one major fucking event. They think of that one big thing. They don't think about like the sub apocalypse that happened after that.
I like that though. It's just Yeah, like who? Like just because there was one nuclear
You
like
think it didn't repeat
war,
itself?
it didn't happen again.
Yeah, it did happen again.
Yeah, once you do it once, it's a lot easier to do it the second time. It's more likely it'll happen again.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
And
like,
it did
with anything.
happen again for Megatron City or Megaton City.
Megaton, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I always blow up Megaton.
Really?
Always.
Why?
Why? Because I like the, but I don't. Because I like the getting the apartment.
Oh.
But sometimes I'll still help out the ghouls and murder everyone in the building anyway.
Oh, okay.
So I get my room, so I still get my private room, and I get to help the ghouls out. Because all the rich people there suck.
Yeah, I didn't get to finish Fallout 3.
Oh, really? Fallout 3 has a great ending.
Yeah. Fallout
Do you know what happens?
Fallout 3?
Yeah.
No.
You know the whole thing like with your dad, right?
I think so. Your dad goes missing and you go after him.
That's why you leave the vault. And it turns out your dad, you weren't even born in the vault. Neither was your dad. He was a scientist developing a way to purify all the water in the world.
Very noble.
Yes. And then because your mother died during childbirth and people were after him, he went to the vault. So you end up fighting him. You end up helping him complete the project. So you help him complete purified water for everybody.
Great.
But you're in like almost like a desalination room. Like I don't know, but like the room is like filling up. The room is like gonna fill up with radiation and ruin everything. So you decide you go in. You can either go in and sacrifice yourself because you have to go inside and like turn something off and then. But you'll die from radiation. So
Okay.
the game ends. Or you can convince one of your companions to do it, which he looks like a real asshole because like they're not happy about doing it.
Really?
Yeah, because like there's no nice option. It's the bad option, but you have to keep talking to them. So it's just like you're just like, hey, like I think it should be you. They're like,
think about it, man. You got nothing left to live for. This is like the greatest thing.
I forget which character it was. They were like, yeah, I mean, I guess when this is thrust upon you, I guess you should just go through with it, right? Like, all right, asshole. Like, you could have stepped up and said, like, yeah, I'll do it. So you're like, no, you do it.
Who do you pick?
I forget who I picked. I don't remember. It's like so long ago. But I tried every option because it's why not. So yeah. But normally the right way to end the game is to go in there and sacrifice yourself. Because your dad also ends up sacrificing himself, I think, earlier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's like double. It's like this is what my father would have wanted.
That's actually I think that's a good ending.
That was a good ending. Yeah.
I've always liked
really
endings
bad.
where the main character dies.
Yeah, because the game's over.
Yeah, and you know what I like about that ending? It's like there's nothing left for mystery. It's like, I mean, I know what happened to my character after the game, so
You finish your journey.
yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully you did something really meaningful.
Yeah.
I mean, what are some of your...
That makes your decisions mean that much more.
Let's see. Like the biggest, obviously, let's put the cards on the table. Biggest games where the main character dies at the end. I mean, this is not a single game, but a big deal was Desmond from Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a big deal. The fact that
Yeah.
he doesn't get a happy ending or anything. Like, he just...
Yeah, you can't have a protagonist from multiple games die that way. I don't think.
That's so fucked up, man.
Yeah, like that because that makes everyone go like, oh, well.
Yo, to be honest, I didn't even like the fucking character, but I still...
No, he was the worst part.
But I still felt bad for him. I
yeah,
was
because
like, holy shit.
You're like, what the fuck?
Holy
I know I
shit.
play his ancestors, but really, that's how he goes.
I think the way the developers looked at it is like, dude, the guy wasn't himself. Because he lived so many lifetimes. He probably wasn't Desmond by the time he died. He was probably...
That's true, yeah.
He's probably some fucked up amalgamation of like his ancestors.
Oh God, yeah. So you know what it was? They just want to deal with the mental health issue of him like reintegrating into regular society.
He's a lot like Solid Snake, whereas like by the time he's there like old, he's like, fuck it, I'll go on a suicide mission. Like I'm so
I'm
done.
your man.
I'm so over this.
They
Like
can't kill all of me.
he's like Arthur Morgan pretty much. Like, yep, I'm done. And we all know it. We all know, partner. I'm done with all this shit. I'm not long for this world.
Oh, that was a great way to do that.
Oh yeah, that's another game where the
Yeah.
main character dies,
Yeah.
which is really
Like probably the best one.
both of them. Both of them were fucking pretty epic. Where the main
yeah.
character dies.
No, they were, but like I like Red Dead a lot.
Yeah, me too. Hell's yeah. It's well, the reason why
But it was that slow burn.
I will never play a Rockstar game that I dislike at this point because first of all, I love Martin Scorsese, I love Guy Ritchie, and I know those British people that are sitting at the top of Rockstar doing their insanity. Like they know how to make a fucking game. They know how to make a fuck. Is it
They
good?
do.
I mean, I mean, it's good quality. I mean, is
Are
it
they
good?
good people? Probably not.
Probably
Do they
not.
abuse their employees? Yes, they
Probably.
do.
Is it good for my soul? No. Are these
No.
games good for me personally? No.
No,
But are
no,
they
no.
good games? Hell yeah.
It's like the worst way to like read a book.
Yeah. The worst way to tell a story. It's like I ingest this story. I know I'm becoming a bad person by like consuming the story and experiencing, but it's so good.
Yeah.
It's too
Oh,
good.
it's so. It's what am I gonna do? Say
Dude,
no?
Grand Theft Auto 5, I know it's like beaten as like it's like a dead horse at this point, but I don't fucking care. That was one of the greatest video game stories ever told in my opinion.
5 or 4?
Both.
Oh,
Well, different reasons. I think 4 was like just a better, beautiful, like cinematic masterpiece, whereas 5 was like a feat of video game storytelling. You know, like
yeah. It was. Yeah, but it's. I feel like it just came off very gimmicky.
5?
Yeah,
Yeah, because they were
because
doing.
it's hard. You split a story between 3 characters, and
Now think about how much we have to respect Rockstar for not doing that with Red Dead when they could have, and made it very cheap and cheesy. They didn't do that though.
well, that wouldn't be a western.
It could be. I mean, there were certain westerns, right? Like Magnificent Seven, or fucking.
I'm actually surprised they didn't do that.
That's kind of what they were going for. I feel because they did the posse thing, right?
Yeah, like I will. Well, in the regular game, you can't like it's only on missions when like people join you. I'm pretty sure, or if you unless you hire somebody, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was a narrative thing for it to be in the posse, but
I remember like reading about it before it came out, and they were talking about the other characters. I thought they were going to do that. They were going to go multiple characters.
yeah, fuck. Honestly, so I was trying to think of like because there's different cowboys throughout like the ages, you know, obviously because it's a long period, but like
Well, it's not very long.
but the one that Red Dead 2 is most recalling of is like Jesse James era, right? Like post Civil War, rapid industrialization coming
Well,
fighting fighting the Pinkertons, the railroad men. That was Jesse James shit.
Well, this is later. This is like 1890s. The game, so it's about the. It's
Well,
about,
Jesse James was like 1890. He was like supposedly one of the mountain men that.
But there was a big like like that era of like the Wild West isn't that long. Like as we know of it, it's really just like 1850s, like post Civil War into into like the 20th century.
When was the Civil War?
1850 something,
1850 something. All right.
1860 something like that.
So I know like a big deal that really kicked off because it went from like I think a big transition from pioneering to like Western era wise
Well, that's it. So when like the
gold rush.
the gold rush is
Gold rush.
49.
San Francisco, not San Francisco. I mean somewhere around California when they discovered gold along the ley line.
It's 1849.
Yeah, it's because
So that's when that's when rapid expansion
and the
started.
reason why there's gold there is because it's on the San Andreas Fault, and that fault had like historically it did have like massive volcanic activity. And do you know that California used to be an island?
Yeah.
California wasn't always a part of our land. It used to be that was apparently a lost continent of Move, supposedly, like because there were natives there, and there was some magical shit. And to this day, there is like some paranormal shit that goes along, like because it's apparently on this magical grid in the world and shit, whatever.
Yeah,
That's
California's on a magical grid.
Yeah, the ley lines. I'll show you the map. It's
Ugh.
weird. It's weird as fuck.
Some shit someone from California would say.
On the East Coast, we're on like a negative magical zone. We're on a very like material, non-paranormal zone. That's why we don't see shit here. Whereas in like the West Coast,
things
and Vegas and shit, and Nevada, like you see a lot of shit there.
That's the desert, man. It plays tricks on you.
Okay. Well, anyway, what I'm saying is like California used to be an island, and the water line that used to separate California to the actual continent body, once that became dry due to some massive volcanic eruption or set of eruptions that caused that landmass, and it might have also had something to do with the massive flood. You know, that also would create huge deposits of gold that wouldn't be that far off from the surface by 18 I don't know, because it wasn't an island that long ago. It was an island like still in like the 1400s, possibly to the 1600s or some shit. Definitely not like 2,000 years ago, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah, so the gold rush kicks off the transition from the pioneering era to this, because like what happened was once, I mean, after they reached California, and once California was finally connected with the transcontinental railroad, that was the boom. So the West Coast, California, the Bay Area specifically, had multiple booms. The first boom was, I guess, the settlement phase, whatever, but you know nobody gave a shit. Second boom era was the gold rush. Then the third boom,
Is when they banned the Chinese.
well, I mean, the Chinese showing up was whatever, but like the what came first, the gold rush or the transcontinental railroad connection?
Gold Rush.
Gold rush, right? All
Yeah.
right, and that's what turned it from a shitty little town to like California and San Francisco and
It
all that
was
shit.
yeah, it was still a big. It made it a superpower, yeah, but it was still like it was the biggest city out
I'm gonna
there.
take some water.
Sure, sure. But it was the biggest city in California at that time.
Yeah.
It was a big port.
And then Civil War happened right after the gold rush, didn't it?
Yeah, a bit after Gold Rush.
Were they
Yeah.
connected?
Were they connected? Well,
I mean,
No, I mean-
the gold rush had to have like served a purpose in like funding the actual conflict and like,
I mean, I guess it would have made it would have. Well, it didn't make the government richer necessarily. I mean, it did because the people who the prospectors who got gold went and spent it on stuff, which give the government money. But like they weren't like the government wasn't like they didn't have like a good grasp on what was happening out there. That's why it's the Wild West. So like
okay, so shortly after that happened, and then the Civil War happened, and then after all that shit, and during that time, the primary thing that ran the economy in the continent wasn't gold or the gold or the deposits of gold in California. It was farming, right? Agriculture, like especially down in the South, and
well, yeah, it would have been more agricultural, I guess.
also hunting and lodging, lumber. Like it was basically a rich continent full of abundant resources.
Yeah, yeah.
So that happened. Civil War happened, and then after the Civil War, we had the Emancipation Proclamation. We had the Emancipation Proclamation where the black people can get jobs at airlines like Spirit Airlines, and they can work on the airplane, and they build the cockpit, and they fly, and the pirate goes woof just out the window. What the fuck, man? The Emancipation Proclamation. Anyway, so yeah, that happened. So now we're talking about Red Dead, Jesse James era, Wild West, which was like not really the peak Wild West. It was the twilight of the Wild West.
No, it might have been the peak.
Red Dead Redemption 2?
Oh no, Jesse James. But Red Dead 2 would be the end. Yes.
No, I thought Jesse James was was around like 1890s.
Oh, if it is, then yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm like putting them two in such a thing.
Okay, yeah.
Because Jesse James and his stories fought off like Pinkertons and shit.
Mhm.
Same thing in Red Dead Redemption 2. Those guys fought.
Goddamn Pinkertons.
Yeah, and the Pinkertons themselves, they were like what? They were a private security. They were mercenaries. Fuck,
Yeah.
that's all they were. They were just mercenaries.
Yeah.
It's pretty badass though.
Yeah, I mean, they had the world's largest detective agency.
Okay, so
which
then-
means they're the biggest group of guys with guns.
All right, so I'm gonna get ice. I'll be right back. But when I get back, we're gonna talk about law enforcement, not like the gay fucking modern like or postmodern take on law enforcement and all cops are. But no, I mean the history of American fucking law enforcement. Fuck. And we're back. All right, so
Remember
last-
when they used to let cops wear shorts?
cops wear shorts.
Yeah. I
Are
think
they
they
allowed-
should let cops wear shorts. It'd make them less intimidating.
There was actually that's funny. There was. Did you ever see the show Patriot?
The show Patriot? No.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I'm not sure.
It's like on Amazon Prime. It's a show about
It's
like God. It's so funny. It's like a. It's kind. It's like you know the guy. It's like imagine like the style of Fargo making like a show about like an S secret agent.
okay.
It's really good, and it's got like that really dry humor. So like the main character, the spy in the show, he's tracking this like this Iranian warlord or something, and like his personal security detail, they're like these Arabic guys, and he's like he basically makes them wear like black loafers and shorts above the knees, and it gives them the stupidest haircuts. This is so they don't get distracted by women, and he calls them the action boys. And they're like a crack squad of killers. This is the humor of this show. It's such a good show. It's such a fucking good show.
That sounds funny.
Oh my god.
I think we should have a cops this way. They're less intimidating. I think that's part of the problem is they try to look very scary. It's not personable. I think we should give them shorts and
Action boy.
bigger hats and action boys. I'm also okay with changing the the police to being called action
He
boys.
called them the action boys.
Man, I can't think of a faster way to get a ticket.
And it's like the reason why he did it. It was just so. It's because when they were like cracked out in like suits and like professional gear and like tactical gear, it's like all the women would oogle them and they get distracted. It's like nah, it's gonna make them look retarded and stupid. So they got nothing. And let's call them the action boys. And they're just these mean, cruel killer dudes.
Just like the police.
And they were like, did you deem this guy like a threat to national security? And it's like, let me ask you something. Is this the kind of guy you want access to nuclear armament components? And he's like, you're right. You got a point. I was like, such a good show, man. The dialogue was just top notch.
Action boys.
Yeah, even when it wasn't dealing with the espionage, because like the guy in the show, he deals with like multiple lives, right? Because because the whole like secret agent bit is like no one can know about that, so he would have to like work as a cover. For example, he would move to Detroit, get a job with some like piping company, which gets contracted to like a company out in the Middle East, which gives him reason to be there undercover to get close to the warlord. So he has to start in Detroit. That's where he has to start his fucking journey. And he has to like
Starting from the bottom, Detroit.
he basically has to like severely injure some guy out of a job interview so he could get the position. He doesn't know shit about piping.
That's what we were talking about earlier. You got to step on people to get ahead.
Yes.
It's come full circle.
And the fucked up part is this guy's not a bad guy. He doesn't like doing this
no,
shit.
of course not. But he's got to do it. He's got to do it. I understand.
And he's
completely.
good at it too.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the fucked up part. But then like he gets into a situation because one of the security guards on the company grounds catches him doing one of his shady things, and he's like, I own you now. I don't know why you're doing this shit, but I'm gonna blow up your whole spot. I don't care what it is. He's like, you don't understand. I have to do this. This is important. I was like, I don't care, but I'm gonna blow up your spot unless you do exactly as I say. Meet me at this spot, and we're gonna work something out. So basically, he's blackmailing him. He's like, he doesn't know that he's like a secret agent spook, but at the same time, he doesn't care. He's like, you're gonna do something for me. The security guard. So the security guard goes, listen, there's these couple of cops. I want you to go to where they are at this location at this time, and I want you to take something from them each. So from one cop, he's like, I want you to go to his house, and I want you to steal his dog. He's like, what the fuck? Why do you want me to steal a dog? Don't ask questions, just go do it. And this guy's like, fuck, I have to do this. Like, I'm on the secret mission, and I can't have my spot blown up. So if this fucking security guard wants me to do this shit short of me just killing him, and the security guard's like, listen, I don't care if you kill me, but if you're gonna do it, you might as well do it now. And the guy's like, fuck, all right, what do you want me to do? So he's like, yeah, so steal this cop's dog. Next, this other cop, he's at the Y, and he's doing he's at the community center and whatever, and he's doing a thing. So he goes there, and apparently this cop is disabled. He's got a prosthetic leg because he's a disabled veteran. I want you to steal his leg. So he steals his leg. And you see like at the pool locker room, like a line of prosthetic legs. And he's looking at them. He's like, he doesn't know which one this is. So he takes all of them. So he's just running out. And he's like running out of the local YMCA holding all the prosthetic legs. And he's shot beautifully like a fucking Wes Anderson movie. But it's so good. And like, he doesn't know why he's doing this shit. He's like, all right, I want you to do one final thing for me. I want you to break into this police station at this time. And I want you to go into this evidence area. And I want you to steal this piece of evidence. And I want you to ask why I'm telling you to do this. Just leave. So then he goes in. And then like the first guy at the door, right, is a night, but he has severe anxiety problems, and without his dog, like he freaks out at like loud noises. So he brings an air horn, puts it next to his ear, Bert, security issue number one, taken out. Next one, he gets into the evidence locker room, takes the shit, he runs out. The one cop who sees him doing it is hobbling on one leg. He's like, "Get back here! Get back!" And he gets away with it scot-free. I was like, "Oh my god!" That show is just perfect.
That's pretty good.
It's so good. It's so fucking good. Oh god. It's that dry humor that I like about it. Like there's no like grandiose climactic comedic like fucking payoff or anything. It's just it just plays out, and I'm like, shit, this is fucking sick.
That's cool.
Oh, and another thing I like about it, it's very musical, because
just like real life. Real life's very musical.
Well, the one weird thing about the secret agent guy, right? And this is actually an issue because the secret agent's handler, his commanding officer, basically is his father, who's like very high up in the government, and his son like served as a veteran and brought his son in and all that shit. Made his son into a spook assassin, and the kid's brother is a congressman, like the secret agent. So he's in on it too. So it's like it's just a goofy like father and two sons arrangement. Anyway, so like he does so fucking the father's like the whole like series is narrated by like these video interviews. It's like the father is like trying to narrate. He's like talking about the whole story in a past sense, as in like the whole shit's fucked up and here's how it happened, and he's like doing it in front of camcorder, and he's like, now the thing about my son is he writes these songs, they're folk songs, and they're very good songs, but they the subject matter of it, and he
Yeah,
basically
yeah,
writes songs about like his secret operations. The songs sound like, then we had Abu Jamar fucking around with centrifuges. And it's like, then I had to go. And he's basically saying, it's like, and I got some fucked up intel and I accidentally shot a man. Who the fuck hires male housemaids anyway? It's like, is he shot? It's like, there's no way. Like, who the fuck hires a male housemaid? You gotta watch this show. You would fucking love it.
Check it out.
Yeah, I never turned you astray.
Is it a dramatic show, or is it?
I consider it straight up like black comedy. Like it's like dark. It's Fargo. The subject matter just happens to be about secret agent shit.
I'll add it to my list. But no, you haven't led me astray.
Yeah. Shit, you took shows that I put you on farther than I did, like Star Trek. You became a legit Trekkie.
I took that way too far.
Well, Trekkies.
There's a lot of it. It's a lot of good shit. A lot of bad shit. A lot of good stuff.
Well, the good thing about Star Trek is people who get really into Star Trek, like if the government
really
suddenly came out and said like, oh yeah, by the way, we've been secretly in contact with aliens the whole time, we just never told you guys because we knew you'd freak out and like end the world.
I'd be like, oh shit, we have a warp drive.
Yeah. So if that came out, I'd be like, at least I could conceptualize. Like it's not like gonna give me like a total.
I don't know if science fiction is preparing anyone for the future.
Well, every major advancement in science and technology was science fiction first.
This is true.
What else we got?
That's where scientists get all their ideas from. Science fiction shows. Think about it. One of them, Steve Jobs saw them use communicators. Be like, you know what? It'd be really cool if they just had a pad. No, like the iPad. Bet you watch Star Trek, not that idea.
I think you just pretty much broke down why it's a singularity. Why it's not like a steady curve, like a diagonal curve of advancement. Why it starts steady, but then it gets steeper and steeper, and eventually it's like a straight shot up to the point where we can't even conceive of it. The reason why it's like that, as we're kind of like scratching on, is because
alien technology.
Well, when you discover one thing, it makes discovering other things easier. So like let's say like, back in like the 60s, scientific or no, let's go back even further to the 20s or the 30s. Scientific discovery wasn't about like letting our imagination run wild. Scientific discovery was about whether or not we starve to death as a nation. I mean, dude,
Finding the healthiest cigarette.
that too.
Yeah.
I mean, think. I have a really funny story about cigarettes, but first, like, so as a nation, we were starving, right? That was like a real problem for countries back then, like where entire countries didn't have enough food. America, I mean, could you imagine like the most powerful country now was at one point not even like a century ago was starving to death, right? And what did we do? Well, we took bomb technology and artificially fertilized the soil with synthetic nitrogen or something that we use, that we use for like, weapons from World War One era, and somehow that miraculously worked to like 10x our crop yields, and that gave us factory farming, factory agriculture. Now, the problem with that, well, we're now dealing with the problems with that. I mean, back then when that first happened, that was great news. It's like, oh, great. Now, like Wonder Bread doesn't have to like artificially put nutrients in their bread so that people don't go blind from vitamin deficiency just eating Wonder Bread. Finally, we helped the Great Depression. Like now we have enough food to feed people.
Oh yeah.
In America, at least. Can't say for the rest of the world, but in America, yeah.
Well, if they could afford it.
I mean, the Great Depression was serious.
Oh, absolutely.
It was a serious thing. Like fucking people were really starving to death in New York City of all places, right? Not even 100 years ago. Anyway, that was happening. So
no, I mean, it actually would be in the middle of it right now. It would be 100 years ago.
That shit was so serious. That's the only reason why we're still giving kids free food in public schools, because we remember how serious it was. We remember how serious it was when American citizens were starving to death in mass.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do we solve that problem? Well, we made artificially fertilized soil. Now, fast forward. I'm not going to speak about the quality of the food, like what that does to the quality of the crops we grow. What I can say that does is once it gets privatized to the point where now these mega food conglomerates have produced way too much food with an incentive to sell, because if they don't sell it, they lose everything. They operate at a massive loss, a crippling loss for any company. So their only choice is to keep us eating, because if we don't eat, we don't buy. And if we don't buy, they don't make money.
That's why there's things called expiration dates, sell by dates, and best by dates.
Yes,
because not just because there's a sell by or a best by doesn't mean that things gone bad.
No,
it's just that's when
they have to move. Yes,
they want it moved.
It's a marketing thing. Yeah. So that's and we want to know why America's fat. This is why America's fat. Is because we have no choice but to be pressured to be eating. Why? Because we had a massive problem in the 1920s. Let's agree on that. I mean, I wasn't around then, but at least I'm young enough. I'm a millennial enough to be taught like enough social studies, but that's nothing to do with gender and shit. Enough to know about like how serious the Great Depression was in the context of us as a nation. It was serious. It was very, very bad. And like that was before the Holocaust. Like this was like pre-Holocaust level bad.
Yes, because then the Holocaust happened. Then there's everything is pre and post Holocaust.
Well, at least Americans were fed during the Holocaust. So
you say that like they're both related.
What?
You're like at least Americans were fed during the Holocaust.
No, I mean everyone.
Well, they were. I mean, everyone was rationing. Yeah, people weren't exactly eating a bunch.
No, if anything, people were.
You ever look at like
people were still hitting the gym during World War II.
You ever look at
fitness was actually an actual curriculum in World War II.
Well, most young able-bodied men were
and women
were gone. No, well, yes, some is like nurses.
Well, anyway, it was different for them. They ate different foods. But this is basically going back to what I'm saying. Nowadays, the food quality is different because we no longer have. It's not like we have too much food, but it's not like we have too much meat. Well, maybe now we do, but it's not good meat because.
Because it's at a place where they're trying to feed a very large amount and fatten them as quickly as possible. So it's what they're being fed is the real. I think it really determines like the quality of the meat.
But even that's better than having like 90% of what we eat be like Dunkin' Donuts, Munchkins, Oreos, fucking soda, pizza, hot dogs, fucking burgers with the yo. Did you know that like 53% of the ingredients in a burger is in the buns?
Wait, what?
In like a McDonald's bun, like 53% of the like McDonald's burger, like 53% of the ingredients are in the fucking buns.
Oh yeah, no, that makes sense. So you keep that bread so fresh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeast is the beast. That's really, I mean, so I was actually talking to someone about this. That I was like saying that like someone was telling me how like food preferences and is just like a new agey thing that people use as a point of privilege. But it's true. Like you are what you eat. And like it's not like people were talking about how like, oh, I've been eating McDonald's since I was little and I've been just fine. I'm like, that's great, but listen, let's say a person orders 6 sausage egg McMuffins, right? Now, if you eat all 6 of them without the buns, it's very different than eating all 6 of them with the buns.
Yeah.
I mean, you're still eating and you're getting, you're getting nourished either way. It's just it's different. It's very, very different.
One of the things I like about keto was, I mean, it's probably the easiest of it, and it is a good diet to do every now and then, I think. But like, it's I feel like I never feel full on keto.
Really?
It drives you crazy, yeah. Like I don't overeat, but like I just never feel like fully satiated.
These days, I feel like I don't know. It's actually weird for me because with keto, I just ate a lot of I ate a lot of meat. That's all I did. But
Well,
now,
it's good to eat meat and fat.
but now it's gotten to the point
Protein
where
and
it's
fat.
like I used to like for dinner. I used to be able to put away like a pound of ground beef. Now I could barely put away like half of it, like a half a pound. And I only eat once a day.
Sounds a lot. Oh, well,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I used to be able to put away a pound. Now I could only put away like half a pound within the night. Like it's crazy. Like keto really does shrink your stomach. But the keto flu, holy shit! That like transition from like sudden shift from like non-ketosis into ketosis, like that's, whew, like that's fucked.
Yeah. It's like it's the hardest part.
It's probably like kind of it's this type of withdrawal. It's a
It is.
it's a carbohydrate withdrawal. Like
Yeah,
it's like
because you're depriving your body of its primary energy source.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it has
and
to
then
like
and you're trying to and you're intentionally trying to get it to start burning something else.
yeah. At least now I know I could survive it. It's not something that I'm gonna die through. Like I know all I have to do is just lie on the cold kitchen tiles. Like seriously, it helps, and then just lie there for a few minutes, breathe, and then I'm good. Like just in my underwear, like sweating
Okay. Oh.
sweating my balls off, like on the cold kitchen tile.
So it's actually a good shot to show like drug withdrawal in a movie. I like that. I like
Yeah,
that. I like
yeah.
that imagery of just on the fucking kitchen floor.
Like, and like hyperventilating.
Yeah.
And I'm like sipping water and I'm just like pouring it all over my face. I'm just like breathing like super heavy. I try to stand up and I just slip on my sweat and like fall.
Where's Chris? He's going through ketosis. Oh man.
Honestly though, that should tell you how serious even a dietary shift can be. Like this shit is serious shit. Like it's not just something you could just like do off of. Like I can only imagine if I had to work through that. Like if I worked a night job or something and I was going through that, dude, that would be a disaster.
Yeah.
I could lose my entire livelihood like that. I could lose my life like that. Like it's serious shit. You can't just change your diet and expect like to be mildly discomforting. No, like this shit could really, really fuck you up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like again, like you're trying to tell your body to do something else.
Yeah. So food, it's like we almost. So here's the thing about addiction. Now this is I think it's going to be like the neo thought of like new schools of addiction treatment is we have to understand that addiction doesn't just like fall on substances like alcohol and I don't know, like drugs. Like addiction, like something as simple as food can like literally ruin your life.
Well, yeah. I mean, like it's literally anything you put into your body is going to affect your body in a way.
Yeah.
So if you eat all the things you should be eating for your body, it's gonna make it run better.
Yeah, and it's like it's crazy how
or it gets used to running on bad shit.
I mean, it's all connected, and this is how I end up like putting a lot of stock into like spirit, because like a lot of the whole spiritual traditions account for like nutrition, physical practices, exercise, not just like religious or spiritual traditions, but cultural traditions too. Like like the way the Chinese did it, the way the Japanese did it, the way the Irish did it. You know, like if you go back far enough, like all the ancient traditions had an accounting for this holistic existence of human nature, where they understood we can't just survive on like something like Doritos and shit and Mountain Dew.
Some people do.
Yeah, but they live an entirely different reality.
Oh, well,
it's not just a matter of feeling different or thinking. No, they live a literal different reality than you.
Well, yeah, because they're it's an alternate lifestyle.
I mean, a lifestyle is like, let's call it what it is, an alternate reality.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, they could come into contact like when you talk to a bum or a crackhead or a crack dealer or an insurgent from Yemen, you know, like yeah, that's like an example of like different realities, but they are completely different realities.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, they're vaguely governed by like similar systems like day and night cycles, eating and shitting, sleeping, fucking, yeah. Basic.
But they have an entirely different life experience than you've had, like different in probably just about every way.
Yeah. Different way to process music, different way to process food. In fact, it's only interesting when you see people like us going there and experiencing alien shit, or seeing them come to New York and it's like, yeah, try a Big Mac. You know, like, I mean, I would love to see that. Like to see like
going to America for a Big
dude,
Mac.
I would love to like have like a North Korean person visit, and I could take them to like titty bars or something, or I could take them to like fucking
better than McDonald's.
I would take them to Dave and Buster's.
Would take them to Disney World? No, that'd freak them out too much, I think.
No, they
can't go to Disney World first.
They could handle Disney World. I think the things that they truly wouldn't be able to handle would be like a rave or something, or like
yeah, well, it's very different.
Yeah, that would be very, very different. But then I feel like it would also, there's a chance that deep down it would feel natural for them too. What else? I would also want to show them like Subway.
You want to show them the Subway?
Eat Fresh.
Oh, the sandwich shop.
Yeah.
Subway, the sandwich restaurant.
Yeah.
Why would you show them Subway?
Because it's easy for them. You know, I could like if they were
you don't know how to order a sandwich. This is how you're gonna learn how to order a sandwich. Then one day I'll take you to get a real sandwich somewhere else.
Yeah.
I like that. It's a good training.
It's like a little kid. Like if you're without me, just walk into a Subway, point to the ingredients you want, and they'll give you food and give them money.
It's a good way to train somebody to learn how to order a sandwich.
To learn how to America.
Yeah.
Yeah. First step has to be Subway. It's like, you know, if they're like a retard from another country, it's like, let me just teach them Subway.
They have the steps on the glass. You can just follow it.
Exactly. It's like, see, you pick the bread. You know what I'm saying? If you could figure out Subway, Eat Fresh, you could figure out America.
That's the first place I would go. if I was stuck in another country and speak the language, for some reason they didn't speak English, which would be ridiculous. I would go to like a McDonald's or something like that. It's the first place I would go to, because
it's either because like
at least then I could order food.
Because Subway is like, it's better than Chipotle even, because Chipotle somehow happens to be more complicated than Subway. Even though Chipotle tries to make it as simple as possible for you, Subway is still easier.
Bowl or wrap.
Either way, that's what exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like what? Yeah.
I was thinking this.
It's like what?
Now I gotta change this. I don't know.
You're talking about dimensions now, like.
So old people don't go to Chipotle.
But if you take someone to like, if you take like a Korean fob like fresh off the boat, or if you take like a fucking like Uzbekistani fresh off the boat, take me to the Subway, it's like, all right, choose the bread. Okay. And choose the, you know, like, yeah.
I would take an Uzbeki person to an Uzbeki restaurant so they could order good food from me.
That's good. Because that's New York City, though.
Yeah.
You couldn't do that.
No, I know. Yeah, it's not.
You couldn't do that in like Wisconsin or.
Can't do much out there, can you?
Ohio. Meanwhile, that's where we're sending all like the refugee, like the Nigerian refugees.
It's all packed out here. Okay, we should send them off to. They could rebuild Detroit.
Wisconsin could use some diversity, okay?
I think so. I agree. I say that's what we should do. This This is how we really make
That's
America the big
fucked-
melting pot.
That's so fucked up. They hate that. They hate that, dude. People in Wisconsin don't like that.
That's why they live in Wisconsin, because they don't like that.
Could you imagine like being in Wisconsin? Is like, yo, did you hear what? They're bringing like 10,000 Nigerian refugees to live amongst us and to learn our Wisconsin ways. You think they can assimilate easily? Yeah, yo.
Wisconsin, what's so hard about it?
There's only 10,000 of them. How much damage could they do? Oh man, imagine somewhere like Missouri. Like, like
You got a small town population, take some refugees.
they could do some good labor.
I think so. That adds some color to the town, some character.
You know what that's really doing? That's just really sending a bunch of like people that nobody knows what to do with into a town where a bunch of people have guns.
Oh, it's a disaster situation. Yeah.
Where a bunch of people have guns.
And they have no city government.
And they don't like outsiders. And then you're telling these people, yo, they love outsiders. This is America. We love it.
It'll be seamless.
They'll let you fuck their daughters anytime, any day.
Walk right up to the porch.
Ask
Bang on that storm door.
Be like, give me food. They'll give you.
Give me food. Where is your daughter? Those are 2 phrases you need to know. They will take care of the rest.
That's so fucked. No, the truth is, that's really what we think is happening. But what's really happening is we need to disseminate refugees and undocumented immigrants all over the country. Why? Because when World War III happens, when truly kicks off and Americans start to get drafted, American citizens have to get drafted. And once we're off dying in wars, somebody has to be around to prop up this fucking economy. And who is that going to be? Fucking illegal immigrants, fucking gangsters, fucking refugees. Why do we know this is going to happen? Because this is exactly what happened before. This is what happened in World War II. This is what happened in Vietnam. This is what happened in World War I. This is how America does it, baby. So now what are they doing? They're allowing South Americans, Mexicans, and you know who else? First of all, did you know that like a third of the people crossing that southern border are Chinese?
I didn't know that.
Isn't that insane? Isn't that scary?
Well, because it's so easy, because there's no wall. Even the Chinese can get in.
That's what I'm saying. Like what are they doing? Like why? What are they doing here? Like why are they pouring in? Like and like I made this really fucked up joke. I was like, what if they're just what if like they're each sneaking in like one tiny part of a nuke at a time, like per person, like like one little screw, one little chip.
Everyone could somehow transport just one ingredient of a nuclear bomb that would erase. Yeah, just one ingredient. Like there's no one ingredient that would stand alone on its own as being suspicious.
The rest they could get at Costco.
Because you could that's what they say is you could make a nuclear bomb out of only a few household items.
No, we're talking about millions of Chinese people sneaking in millions of parts.
Bringing in little bits of what will go into a nuke. That's some high. You'd be like the governor of Wyoming right now if you made that speech for those people.
But I'm telling you, this would be the goofiest but the genius thing that the Chinese could ever do.
They're sneaky, those guys. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them.
But it's still scary, okay? Chinese people sneaking in through the southern border. Like, I can show you the articles. Like, it's weird, man. Why? What are they fucking doing going through there?
It's easier. It's easier than coming here legally directly into the U.S.
And it's like it's weird. Like there was like literal like Westerners that go there on like relief efforts. Like they go there on volunteer, like trying to help refugees, trying to like because it's a fucked up journey. Okay, to go from South America to Mexico and then through that border, like. There's like a 30% chance you could die, if you're not like fully fit. Like if you have like diabetes, asthma, if you're anemic, there's a 30% chance you're going to die on that track, right? Because if you're trying to make it to America as an undocumented citizen, yeah, you could get kidnapped, trafficked, murdered, whatever. It wouldn't matter. Yeah. So that's already like a thing. So there was reason, for like people like Red Cross to be involved in shit. And the guy was like there and I think he was like a British guy or whatever. And he goes there and he's like, so here's the weird thing. I go there and, I see the South Americans, like people from like Juarez, people from Brazil, people from Argentina, people from all over, like,
Those perfect Argentinians.
but people from all over, like trying to like get in, whatever, like some from fucked up countries, like really fucked up, even in Mexico. And like this is the canal area, for like from the South America, like into the bottom tip of Mexico, like that area, like it's a bitch to cross. Like that's
It's
deadly.
um, what's that one called? It's the Cape of the one around Africa. I think it's the Cape of Good Hope, and that the one around South America is like the Cape of like you better be careful.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called. It's something in that vein.
Yeah, exactly. So they have to get through all that. But so when they were there, they noticed, they were like, yeah, there was the people that we were there to help, the brown people, and they were friendly, they were good, they were chill, they were open about their story. They were like, yo, my whole village got taken over by cartels. They were murdering our children, our husbands, or some, the mothers, old people. They didn't care, so we had to leave. There was like other places where it's like, yeah, there was just no money. Like people were literally starving in the streets. Like, were we supposed to live like that in the modern age? Like, fuck that. We have cryptocurrency now. Like, I have some Bitcoin. I'm gonna go to America with it. Shit like that. But then they noticed a lot of people weren't South American, Latino, Hispanic, or anything like that. They were Chinese or Asian or like Han Asian or Eastern Asian. It's like, what were they doing there? What were they doing there? And why were there so many of them? And they were not friendly. They were not like open. They were not receptive to them.
Well, no, because why would they be? Because they're out.
Oh my god, dude! This is what I'm talking about. It's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy, man. Like, what are they doing?
Like, wait, where? This is where? How did I get here? I don't know.
So this is what I'm talking about. Like, shit's like getting really weird for us in this country.
How many little bits of nuke do you think are already here?
See, it sounded ridiculous at first, right? It sounded ridiculous and crazy, but then if you really think about it, it's like, dude, I don't know, man.
There's a whole new meaning to the phrase. They're not sending their best.
Yeah.
Not a whole new meaning. It just reinforces it.
And there's already Chinese people here. There's already Chinese American people here.
Kidding.
No, I'm saying, like, dude, think about it this way. Like, we almost had a Chinese person running for president.
Oh, Yang.
Yeah. We also have Chinese people working in our federal government.
That we do.
I mean, all sorts of Asians, really. Japanese. We have Japanese people in the judicial system. There's Japanese judges in the West Coast. We have fucking Korean people in like council positions in the government and all sorts of positions. I don't know. It's just something about whatever. I don't know. It's not even like I believe America has a strong national identity anymore.
Wait, what do you mean by that? It's because we don't all look the same and act the same.
No, I just mean America isn't really connected by any kind of like ideology or set of values. It's more so connected by like
Commercialism.
Yeah, like a shared interest of profit.
That's America.
Yeah,
that's how we're connected.
I will say, to its credit, it does. You can like project whatever ideology you want on that like kind of like open free platform. I mean, here's the way I look at it. Like the real winners of all of it, like the way the modern world works. I don't know about postmodern world. The postmodern world might be entirely spiritual, but for the way the modern world entirely functioned, it seemed like pirates and gangsters had it right all along. Like you had special
live off the grid.
Exactly, not off the
live off the fat of the land. By fat of the land, I mean killing people and stealing from them.
Yes. Yeah. So you had you had specialists, right? Specialists were the kind of people that focused on one specific task, one specific location, one specific village, one specific city, one specific country, one specific form of governing, one specific like field or specialization like law or history or education, science, specialization, right? And you did that out of passion, out of love. And that's what locked you into it. That's why you would specialize into it. Either that or you got tricked into thinking, oh, this will get you the most money or whatever, or the most comfort in life, whatever. Either way, you became a specialist. Then you had generalists, which were like people who were the most well-traveled, right? It was the generalists were often people like pirates who would sail around because they were either on the run or they just couldn't settle down for whatever reason. Like they were just abandoned misfits, and they went from place
So
to
what it was, they were misfits. They weren't. Most of them were like I think like in the Navy, but like because they weren't from like rich families
yeah.
or like well known families, you don't get promoted. You never become like an officer.
But there were people from rich stock, but they just did very bad things,
Oh yeah,
and they got caught, so they were on the run.
yeah.
But they still had access to like all the knowledge and insight they had.
Mm-hmm.
So what this created, especially within the context of the settlement of the New World, was I suppose privateers, because once you had quote unquote pirates, you had people, you had the roughest dogs, the best ships, the best commanders, like the best roughneck commanders of the seas. They would amass the most resources, and they would be the ones most likely to control the hubs, which directed all the resources from stolen goods into the hands of the people who had the connections to be able to buy it, which benefited them, and also it basically created its own abstracted form of power. And these privateering groups would be the basis of what we now know as corporations, right? That's what a corporation is, or like a band of pirates, honestly. If you think about it.
I like the comparison.
No, I mean it's true. Like that's
They have logos.
yeah. And here's the thing about like
They
private
have a hierarchy.
yeah, here's the thing about the corps and the privateering bands and the pirate groups. Like they weren't specialists, they were generalists. These are people that had like, like members of crew that could speak different languages and that could do all sorts of different things, and they were able to generalize and adapt through different situations, and they saw the most things. So it's almost like the kings and the rulers of like different areas were at the mercy of the pirates who actually knew the greater story. Like the kings and the lords relied on the pirates who visited and said the pirates would tell them to, oh yes, in the lands across the seas there are very strange people. There are villages where women walk around with no shit, no tops.
Savages.
Yeah, they have orgies every night, like shit like that. Like
it's unchristian like.
Yeah, but this was very enticing to them, like this is very like appealing. And they had no choice because they had no idea, because the truth is those kings were very powerless in the bigger picture compared to the pirates. Like as specialists of their land, of like Britain or Europe or whatever, the pirates got to like see everything. They got to see all sorts of weird shit connected to like the Atlantic and the Mediterranean and all that shit. So yeah, I think that's why like corporations are so predatory and capitalism is so predatory, because the truth is the people who always had the power were the privateers, right? Like when like after like right before industrialization and settlement, it was the people who had the control of the networks between the seas, and those networks formed corps, like corps. And those were corporations that set the basis of
and like there's companies that it kind of that stem from there that still exist today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the whole pirate thing was like a big thing too. Like before, like this is we were first talking about law enforcement. Before the framework that could hold that up could even happen, we have to settle the fact that the New World was entirely controlled by pirates. It's true.
Well, legal pirates. Well, people who ran they ran the sea. It's like the airlines of today.
Also, to this day, the sea is still
They're still run by them.
It's still not in the law of any single government, right? Maritime law is different. It functions different.
It's a whole different ball game out there on the open sea.
Yeah, like people die. People like, I mean, they say about like 7 million people die every day or some shit.
In the ocean?
Or America alone, I think.
I have no idea.
Some crazy but
you don't know what goes on out there.
Could you imagine how many millions of people die in the ocean every day that we don't even hear about?
Ugh.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Ugh.
like people must disappear every single fucking day on the ocean. Like, do you know how easy it must be to make a person disappear? Like, you set up a wood chipper on a barge. That's it. Just make it point out in the water. It's just chum. It'll dissipate within days. Not even.
So like if you were like some kind of serial killer, you get a wood chipper on a barge and keep it somewhere like in the ocean.
A serial killer?
What?
No, I'm saying if I was like a pirate group, and I like took over a yacht and I had to get rid of
Oh,
the
okay,
people.
you're well, not a serial killer, but someone who murders someone. So you,
Well, if I had to murder someone and I was out at sea, like if I was out at sea all the time and I was in the business of taking lives, and yeah, I would set up a barge with a wood chipper.
but I'm saying so you always have that ready, basically. Like if I were to go out to sea with you on a large boat, there'd be a wood. If there was a wood chipper on the boat, I shouldn't.
No, if you went out to sea with me on a large boat, you would just have beers and maybe like a big boom box, a good sound system, and a projector and a screen. If you wanna steal shit with me, that's different. Like that.
Oh, we can become pirates.
Well, yeah, we could. Oh! Sorry, I read this awesome story. Did you know that there's these rich Russians, right? They're hiring yachts so they could sail like around like the coast of like Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And they fill up the yachts with like automatic weapons and grenade launchers, and they're trying to invite like Somalian pirates to like try to board them, so they could shoot
So
at
you
them.
just blow them up.
So it's like real life purge shit.
It's like big game hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Russians would hunt people. That would be their thing.
Yep.
That would be their thing, wouldn't it?
Yep. I mean, I was like, this is like intense. Like I was like, that's intense, man. Like if you were my boy, if I met you in like a New York City party and it's like and you were this rich Russian kid and I was like, yeah, me and my boys, we're about to go to a yacht in Johannesburg. You should come out. I'll fly you out. And I'll be like, all right, man, let's do this. And then I go out and we're on the yacht. It's like, yo, where'd you get this yacht? It's like, yeah, we're just renting out this yacht. We got this for the weekend. I was like, cool, man. We're all the bitches. We're all your friends. It's like, oh yeah, they're over here. And then I come out and I see like a spread of assault rifles and grenade launchers. I was like, what the fuck is this? It's like, yeah, we're gonna go out to sea and we're gonna see if like Somalian pirates try to.
I didn't tell you this earlier.
Yeah, we're gonna see if Somalian pirates try to fuck with us and we're gonna kill them. Like that would be like my literal words. Be like, that's intense, man. Like I'd be like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm down with this.
I'd be like, I have to consult my book of maritime law. I know I'm not well aware of the laws of the sea, but.
I mean, that would make some good YouTube content.
I think it's a good skit.
That's like the closest thing to the real life purge, to a real life purge we have.
Yeah, Russian millionaires shooting Somalians.
Yeah. Look at me. I am the mincemeat now.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I love my cat. I decided that if my cat was secretly like, if he looked like that to my human senses, but he was secretly like an alien spider, hideous looking, I'd still love him.
Well, yeah.
If he wanted to kill me, he would have killed me by now,
Exactly. He's your buddy no matter what he looks like.
Yeah. Yep. That's how you got to treat it.
Takes different strokes.
Yeah. I was hanging out with a person that we both know.
It's impossible.
A lady person, and this person lives with two cats, and they weren't as nice to the cats as I would. I mean, when I went there, the cats just seemed so starved for attention, and they were just like so like pouncing on me and cuddling with me. I was like, I felt so bad, give me bad vibes. I was like, why are your cats so starved for attention? Like, what the fuck? Like, you don't give your cats attention? You don't? I would, if my cats acted like that, I would be like going crazy. I'd be like, what? You want to cuddle?
It sounds dramatic.
What?
Sounds like a pair of dramatic cats.
Yeah, they do. They acted dramatic, and I didn't seem sus about it. It's just, it made me feel sad though. Like, are they that starved for attention? Like, shit.
I don't know if it's like that.
Yeah. But in other news, anyway, the world is looking bleak, but my future's looking good, honestly, because here's the deal. No matter how bad things get, I just know. Well, here's what I believe. And I know many people disagree with this belief. I know many people hate this belief. Many people refute this. Many people dislike it. But I say everyone is the same soul living out different lifetimes in different bodies.
Do you think people reincarnate?
Yeah.
The soul.
Yeah, and I think we're living out different lifetimes in different bodies, but we're ultimately the same soul.
Sounds nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough.
Nice way to think about that.
But it's nice, but it's not always easy. Like if you come across like a serial rapist killer and you have that belief, you're like, oh, Okay, I mean, shit.
I hope to meet you in another life where you're not a racist murderer killer.
Well, that's you too. That's just another version of you, is what I'm saying.
Oh,
So here's what I'm saying. Like, imagine being incarnated as a Jewish person in a concentration camp in the Holocaust, and then you die because like an SS soldier like puts you in a gas chamber, and then the next you get reincarnated as a little boy in Dusseldorf, Germany, and you happen to grow up to be an excellent soldier in the SS, and you happen to be the one who pushes the gas chamber, and that Jewish person happens to be that guy.
all right.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, this is how I think that's how it works. You know,
Yeah.
like I do think everyone's just ultimately the same soul living out different lifetimes in different bodies.
There's a good Star Trek episode where this character who has a symbiote attached to it that's lived off other is unique and has lived different lives with different host bodies.
Yeah.
And there's this ceremony that allows her to like deal with each of her past selves, like individually, like talk to them directly.
Yeah.
Because when she's attached to the symbiote, like all of their experiences are part of her.
Are you talking about
Jadzia?
Jadzia? She's the best.
Yeah,
Everyone
she's
loves.
the best.
Yo,
But,
so many people have a boner for Jadzia, and I was just talking to one of my good friends on the internet about Jadzia, and he was like, "No, Jadzia is a chick. Jadzia is the girl," and like I get why he would say that, but to me, Jadzia Dax is more than just that chick. Like, as soon as the symbiote attached to her, I think she became more than just her. I do think
she's Jadzia and she's Dax.
so. She was no longer Jadzia Dax, but
Yeah.
he insists like Jadzia Dax was still mostly Jadzia, and Dax was just a parasite. Like, Dax was just nothing more than like a parasite that transfers. He didn't believe Dax to be.
There's an episode where Dax gets to talk to each of her past of Dax's past hosts.
I think I've seen that episode.
Yeah, but one of them was a serial killer. One of her past hosts was a serial killer, so like it's like something that she doesn't is like always in the back of her head that she tries to ignore, and like when she has to like interact with it, it starts to try to dominate her personality more and whatever, and tries to make her feel bad about stuff.
Well, the cool thing about Jadzia Dax is like that kind of life form is the only thing that could rival something like a Vulcan or B, a Data.
Yeah.
Like, that's why
that's the smartest you could.
Yeah, because Jadzia Dax is a brilliant alternative. You know, it's brilliant. Yeah, of course, like a parasitic hive mind, like symbiote, you know, kind of thing. Like, that makes perfect sense. Jadzia Dax, what a good character, best character in Star Trek.
I like her better than Spock as a science officer.
Well, yeah,
because she could also beat people up with her Klingon training.
Yeah, the thing about Jadzia Dax though is, I mean, Dax is ultimately still that slug. Dax is still the slug thing.
She sleeps with like 2 or 3 people in the show, at the most.
Jadzia?
Over 7 years, yeah. And then she marries Worf. Come on. It's a married woman you're talking about.
Did she really marry Worf?
Yeah, she marries Worf.
Really?
Yeah.
What a crazy couple.
There's a great episode that the ending is like Quark has ceremoniously marries his Klingon woman because he accidentally killed her husband. But at the end of the episode, like they're both in sickbay because they've both been going at it. And like Bashir's like the doctor's like checking them out, and he's like, "What were you two up to? Like that you're all like you're scratched and torn, you have broken ribs. Like, what were you two up to?" And he's like, "Well, what weren't we up to?" And like, and then he's like, "Whatever." He gets up, and he walks away, and then Jadzia and Worf come walking into sickbay, both beat up and disheveled.
What were you up to?
Yeah, and he's like, "You know what?" He's like, "I'm not gonna ask people this anymore. I don't want to know what people were up to, what their personal lives are like." But
interesting.
But yeah, they.
That's interesting. Yeah,
Jadzia and Worf. It's good. It's good shit.
Shit. Jadzia Dax. Also, it was really weird with the sexual tension between Jadzia Dax and the captain.
Oh, Cisco?
Yeah, Cisco.
Yeah, it is. There is sexual tension. Oh, they totally bang. She's one of the 3 people.
Did they?
I feel like they did. I don't know.
It's
never confirmed. They had to. It's a little weird. Their dynamic is very strange.
He's like, "Come on, old man. You're in this hot ass body now. Let me fuck that ass." He's like, all right, Cisco.
Because you think of it
I
from-
know. If I were you, I would do
Exactly.
the same thing.
Exactly. That's he is thinking. Well, this is an old friend, and also I know him and trust him. I've known him for a long time.
Jadzia's attracted to him.
Exactly.
So yeah,
He's fucking Cisco.
yeah, it's definitely
They
complicated.
totally bang. I don't doubt it. He didn't start dating his girlfriend until like season 3,
So good. Yeah,
and he's not Picard. Like he's not Risa. Oh, I can't go there.
it's a hey old man, see you in the holodeck. And Jadzia Dax is like, oh, I know what that means.
I don't know if so. I remember it's the first episode, but there was that one episode where it closes with him like he's like, whatever you say, old man.
Old
And like
man.
this is the way he says it. I'm like, oh yeah, they fucked.
Yeah. No, Jadzia Dax is supposed to look at it like, oh, it's so embarrassing because she's a young woman. But nah, it's because they fucked.
Oh, totally. Jazzy is the best. Deep Space Nine's the best.
Yeah, Deep Space Nine is the best. You have that security officer guy who turns into cum.
Oh no, the changeling?
Yeah. No, is it the changeling?
Yeah.
He just turns into liquid sperm.
Liquid is his default state. That's how his people exist in the great something I forget. But it's basically their home planet is just a giant ocean because it's all them in there interacting with each other. They're not meant to be solids.
Talk about the romance between him and someone's mom.
What?
He had a romance with him and the chick's mom.
Odo?
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't. Odo got with Kira. Major Kira. She's like the second in command, the Bajoran.
Yeah, isn't
Small
she?
lady.
Isn't she someone's mom?
No.
She has to be. I'm pretty sure she is.
No. She doesn't have. She never has a child. Oh well, no. She at one point in real life she was giving birth, but she gave birth to she was a surrogate mother for O'Brien, I think.
For O'Brien.
For O'Brien and Keiko.
O'Brien was the sidekick from
Chief O'Brien,
Chief O'Brien was the sidekick
the
from
Irish guy.
Oh,
He's Bashir's best friend. He's the engineer. Chief O'Brien is the most important person in
okay.
in
Who's the
Starfleet history.
empath lady from Picard's crew?
It's Troy.
Troy.
Deanna Troi.
Her mother.
Oh God, her mother.
Yeah, didn't she have a relationship with Gordo?
No, she never she wanted to bang Picard. She flirted with everybody. Her mother.
I think she had an episode with Gordo.
With who?
Gordo.
Who's Gordo?
I mean Ordo. Sorry.
Oh, Odo.
Odo.
Oh
not
yeah.
Ordo.
Oh, I don't know. No, I don't think they banged. He couldn't stand her.
Oh, but they did have I think the episode together.
Well,
they had,
she flirted with him a lot. But
That-
she does that.
Well, that episode with together was like one of the most interesting episodes that Odo ever had. Honestly.
Nah, his best one is when through shenanigans of sorts, they get Odo is thinking about like his biggest regret. Because they just came from a conference where they're like, oh, like Odo, like even the Cardassians and the Bajorans are like Odo, like they both sides liked him and they both sides hate each other, and like his dedication to law is what makes him so great. And on the way back from this conference, they're like praising Odo, and he's like, yeah, whatever. He's thinking about something that he regrets, and then they all somehow get transported into his mind in that memory, and it's the one where he was actually he executed innocent Bajorans because he wasn't that dedicated to the law
Yeah.
when he was like younger. But the way it plays out to the rest of them, they see somebody else instead of Odo, but Odo knows it's him. So like he's freaking out the whole time. They're like, what's the big deal? And then and he's like telling them exactly what's gonna happen. They're like, how do you know that? Like you weren't even in charge. And then he gets confronted with it.
That's pretty epic.
It's pretty cool, yeah.
You didn't like Voyager at all, right?
I didn't finish it. I didn't like how it started. I only watched I watched the first and second season. There's just a lot of characters I don't like.
How do you feel about the concept, though?
I like the idea a lot.
Yeah, the idea was good, right?
Yeah. That's that first episode of Voyager is the best first episode of a Star Trek show
Really?
I've ever seen. Yeah.
Probably. Actually,
The rest
because
aren't
if you
good.
think about it, it's the most epic because it's like a catastrophe. It's like,
it's
dude,
so cool. It
'cause it's
happens
never-
right in like with the Maquis and the Federation. It's something that's already like
and it also offers
relevant.
like an existential problem for like a ship of the Enterprise, which is like, dude, we're completely separated from What gives
from
us
our known galaxy, our part of the galaxy.
So it's really like a test. So they're like the Marines at that point of Starfleet. You know, like it's a Marine story.
Well, it's a survival story.
What I liked about it was like the goofy scenarios they had being so separated and like, you know, far flung. Like, for example, Vulcans. Apparently, Vulcans have this condition where if they don't fuck after a certain amount of time, like they'll literally die.
Yeah,
of
they'll
blue
die.
ball.
Yeah, because there's in the first Star Trek movie, Spock comes back after that period where they're really horny,
Yeah.
but he doesn't fuck anybody. So he comes back and he's like really cold and a dick to everybody. They haven't seen him in a couple of years, but it's not because he doesn't like them. It's because he's mad he didn't get laid when he was supposed to get laid.
Within he had years to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, he was supposed to get laid. He
What
just
an-
did it. He was so pissed. He's a dick to everybody in that movie.
So he just couldn't get laid.
Yeah, like every other character, because like it's the first time they've been on screen together, like in like 10 years at that point, and like their characters too are like, oh, I haven't seen you in a few years. Like they're happy to see each other, and then they're like, Spock, how is it? He's like, I'm fine. Everything's fine.
They really had this on that kind of show, like that.
It was the movie, the first movie.
And he was like, "Yeah, I didn't get fucked." Like,
Yeah, that it's well because I think that what's it McCoy like says it to like Kirk. He's like he just missed his window. Yeah.
well, how does he resolve that? How do you not die? Who does he fuck?
No, it's not. It's if you don't like there's a window, but there's not a window where if you don't do it, you die. Like you have to miss that window a couple times, I think.
Oh,
Yeah. But when you miss the window, like it's a drain of like you're like in withdrawal. So like
but then you eventually you stabilize, even if you don't
eventually
fuck.
you'll stabilize.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you have to fuck eventually.
Yeah, because you've been on a high like for X amount of time, and then like it just that adrenaline's gone. So you're
Okay, so this is gonna branch off into a couple of things. But first of all, in Voyager, he didn't fuck clearly for a long, long time because the Vulcan in Voyager.
Tuvok.
Yeah. And his story was in the show, like he didn't fuck and he was literally gonna die. And,
That's right. Yeah,
and he was married
I've heard
and
that.
he did not want to cheat on his wife. So he was like, I'd rather die.
That's not. But see, that's stupid. That's not thinking logically.
But obviously the thought of a solution or whatever.
Someone jerked him off, right?
No, they put him through the holodeck.
Oh, that's right. Such an easy salute. They've been doing it for years. Like he didn't know people jerk off in the holodeck.
Someone's got to clean up the jizz in the holodeck, you know?
I did like that cartoon Lower Decks because they do. I mean, it's been a joke forever. They didn't create it, but they show where like holodeck duty is just like someone like emptying a canister full of basically cum, mostly cum, sweat, and like blood from people training and people jerking off. Like
And other bodily fluids, yeah.
Holodeck cleanup duty is like the worst fucking job.
Well, yeah, because that's...
Yeah, because that's what you're cleaning. It's like being a jizz mopper.
Shit, it's true. Okay, also, you didn't like the new movies, right? With Zac Efron or whatever the fuck. Who played it? Who played the fuck?
Chris Pine, right?
No, who played Captain Kirk in the new fucking
Chris Pine,
Chris Pine?
right? That's his name.
Is it?
I think so.
Chris Pine.
I only saw that first one. I thought it was a good movie, but I didn't like Star Trek at that point, so I didn't know anything about it really. And I've never watched. I never watched.
Chris
the original
Hemsworth
show.
played Captain Kirk's father, Tiberius.
Yes, he did.
That was crazy. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, I never really watched the original Star Trek, so it doesn't. No, it's bothering me.
Oh yeah, you only care about because Jean-Luc Picard was the best cap. He's the best captain of all. You agree, right? He was the best captain of all.
Come on,
time.
yeah, he's a great debater.
That's Professor X, bro.
He's just so smart. Why wouldn't he be better? He's not like inexperienced and brash. He's smart, calm, cool, collected. He's
Educated.
He's
Starfleet's
war
best of
weary.
the best.
Yes, he has the biggest and best ship because he is the best captain that Starfleet has. Why would you give the Enterprise anyone less than?
And
the
he's
greatest?
not like a Captain Kirk dickhead, which was very surprising. Like the fact that they made it's actually crazy. It's a bold risk for them to take for him to be so perfect. Like Captain Kirk wasn't that perfect. Captain Kirk was an asshole.
Was a womanizer.
Exactly. He was a dick. So,
Shitster.
so then like the fact that they made
Didn't listen
Picard,
to Starfleet.
like they made Picard this like, but you know what they did to Picard? They gave him way harder problems. Like
Oh
they,
yeah.
they gave him way
Kirk's
harder
like, oh
problems.
no, do I fuck this alien or this alien? If I
Picard,
fuck her, I'll lose one red shirt, but I fuck her, I'll lose two red shirts. Also, the captain of the ship, like the captain of the ship going down to the planet was so he could get laid. That's why he would go on away missions. Why would the captain go on away missions? It makes no sense. He went because he was trying to get laid.
let's see what the local population has to offer in terms of talent, Spock.
I bet you every time they leave, Uhura's like, I can't with these fucking two.
Yo, but you gotta admit it was cool when Picard got to bury Captain Kirk in a bunch of rocks.
This is a fitting grave marker.
After Captain Kirk basically got his neck broken. That was such a good movie, though. Like, tell me it wasn't.
It was all right. I like it. It's fine. It's not very. It's fine.
I mean, the whole scene was picture perfect. Like the Shat Man making breakfast for his wife that he never got to ever see.
I like that. I like the whatever they called it, the Nexus.
And he's like, brother, I want to stay in here. And then and Picard was just like, dude,
like that guy was trying to do it on purpose. Like he wanted to get into it because he'd left it. He'd been there before. He's like, it's paradise. It's that part's well written.
No. And Picard was like, brother, nah, this ain't it.
You know, in the beginning of that movie, it's Kirk, Scotty, and it's Chekhov, or it's Kirk, Scotty, and another crew member. Oh, and Sulu, I think.
Oh, really? They were all in that movie too?
Just in the beginning, because they show Kirk getting swept up by that Nexus thing.
That's nuts. That's a good fucking movie.
It's fine. I liked it. I like the original Star Trek cast, like their movies. Like their movies better than I like TNG movies.
Oh, really?
But I like TNG as a show way more.
Oh, so you like Captain Kirk movies better than the TNG movies?
All right, Wrath of Khan is a really good movie. The Voyage Home with the Whales, it's hysterical. It's just fun. It's a good movie. And Star Trek 6 is a really good Cold War movie.
Yeah, but then Nemesis had Captain Janeway in it. But
Nemesis is so bad.
I know everyone hates.
Oh
Nemesis.
God, it's so bad.
Fuck
Yeah, because like with the TNG movies, the only ones that I like are Generation and First Contact.
None of the
The
newer
other two aren't good.
None of the newer shows do it for me after TNG. Like I don't like the newer shows.
No, they're big actiony shows. It's not going out and adventuring and learning about.
It's not a science. It's supposed to be like
It's not science fiction.
It's supposed to be like an adult magic school bus.
Yes,
You know.
it's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
We want to learn about this week. Let's learn about racism, kids.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's the Star Trek. That's what Star Trek's at its best.
It's an adult magic school bus.
Now learn about today. Sexual identity. Alrighty, let's go.
Nowadays, it's all about which crew member is gonna fuck this crew member. You know, like
Yeah, which is not. It's not Star Trek.
Exactly.
Stupid.
Exactly. It's not supposed to be like a soap opera. It's supposed to be like you said, like an adventure of the week kind of thing.
Should probably have hired science fiction writers instead of soap opera writers.
But there was one show that did it all really good. It was kind of like soap opera-ish, but it did it so good in a sci-fi way, which was The Expanse.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I haven't watched it, but I have that written down.
It's phenomenal. It's like the space battles aren't like pew pew laser. It's mostly like silent bullets like traveling through the vacuum of space and
Which makes sense.
pierces straight through your hull. Like you have to have your helmet on, otherwise you're guaranteed to die in any fight. You know, like it does make sense. It's
It's a lot grittier, I guess, or more. And it's also it's a dystopian future, I guess.
You know what it is? Like space battles are less like spaceship battles and more like submarine battles in space.
That's how it would be.
Exactly. It would be very
It's the ocean of the sky.
Yeah. It would be uncomfortable as fuck. It would be scary
Small
as shit.
cramps like space, yeah. Like old submarines.
Shit bleeping at you all the time. You're probably gonna die. Like there's like a good
That's actually like I like that in Star Trek. And I go back to Star Trek Enterprise. Like the first Enterprise, like that's one of their first ships, and it's designed that way. It's designed to look like a small cramped submarine. Literally every episode, the engine needs constant watch and maintenance because they've never
It's
done
shitty
this
shit.
before. They've
Yeah.
never done this, so it's just like there's always a problem with that.
But at least the captain was the best captain.
The one on Enterprise,
Yeah.
Scott Bakula.
No, I was talking about Jean-Luc Picard.
Oh, I'm talking about the show Enterprise.
Enterprise. This is
Yeah.
the actual.
Yeah. The actual TV. No, yeah, not the TNG. No, that Enterprise is a luxury.
Enterprise
luxury
was
cruise.
Enterprise was closer to like modern times, right?
Yeah, yeah, it was the biggest prequel.
Is
I mean,
this
it's
still
the
even
latest.
canon? Really?
What?
Is this still even canon?
Yeah, it did in that universe. I think they have a different universe now. I don't know, but like
Well,
it's canon. It happened. It
Mhm.
happened. It would have happened 100 years before Kirk. I think.
One of the
Maybe less.
one of the craziest episodes for TNG was when Q took him to that time period when it was like into the future for us, but it was like past for them, and it was like this very dark period where it was like warlord, uh, dark era, post apocalypse era
Mhm.
before utopia, and it's like. Yeah, I could see that happening, you know, and then they just acted like Warhammer 40K type.
Yeah,
shit, you
yeah,
know?
that's what it looked like. There's a better one in Deep Space Nine where Cisco and Bashir get sent to the year 2023,
Oh, okay.
and they're like, yeah, like people are living in uh like it's cities are like there's zones designated for people to live. There's not enough jobs. There's not enough homes. Things are destroyed. So like there's designated areas where people go. You're selected for work. Sometimes you get a little money. You could buy food, whatever. It's like that.
That's
And yeah, like Bashir is like, how could he's like, how could people like get to this point where like you just don't care? Like he's like, that's what the problem. He's like, everyone is just so cold and calculating. Everything's about numbers and process or whatever. Like you've like forgotten how to care about people. Like people are starving.
that makes it's kind of uncanny valley territory. But yeah, I mean, Star Trek. Star Trek should never be compared to Star Wars.
No, they're different thingies.
There are different thingies.
Yeah.
Anyway, I believe we're definitely past the 2 hour mark.
Yes.
We got places to be, we got things to do, but
yeah, we're busy.
yeah, we thank you guys for joining us for another riveting conversation. Anyway, we'll see you for the next one, homies.